Good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever it is, where you is. I am Tom Connors. This is Midnight's Edge After Dark. We have with us Script Doctor. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
He's back. He is back for revenge.
And more tacos.
No movie has a chance.
One Canadian, one Wisconsinite, one Mexican, and a buttload of taqueria tacos.
Where's the sauce?
Dun, dun, dun.
Look at that. Lovely Sherry has a new icon.
She has the best icon. She changes her icon.
That's a Tinkerbell. That's ironic.
And of course, we also have Mexican Iron Man. How you doing,
Arriba. 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 Look, it's like the gang is back together. I can't remember the last time the three of us were actually on the same show at the same time.
A week ago.
Oh, okay. Well,
it felt like a long week.
Yeah. That
We're
was
on Thursday's show, right?
Before the time began.
Actually, no. Actually, it might have been longer because I think you might have missed Thursday's show. Mike.
Yeah, I was out of town. Remember, I was driving to
So
Connecticut.
it might have been. So maybe
2
not
weeks?
since last Tuesday,
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah. Yep.
or maybe on a Midnight's Edge in the morning. Who
Like
knows?
sands through the hourglass, time moves so slowly without my script doctor.
All I know is we have with us in the chat Stephen, aka Deleted Scenes, Stephanie Janisek, Larry's here, Gonzalo Bergali's here. We got Dr. Dragon. That is an awesome name. I've told them to change it, and they listen to me. Peer pressure works. We got Diego Flores in the house. We got, did I say Goddess Wim? Hello, Goddess Wim. We got Kitty Bear. We got Techman Blade, Joey, Professor Gray. So many here to say hello. Speaking of Kitty Bear, he says $5 on them being 20 minutes late. Well, joke's on you, lost $5. In this case, €5 actually, so it's fancy money.
Oh, he has euros. Euros is fancy pants.
I just said.
You can survive the laundry.
Not only
Euros
that,
are
it's
made
usually
of,
worth a
printed
little
in
bit.
vinyl. Yeah.
Yeah, not only that, it's worth a little bit more. So it's like a coupon on gas.
Well,
Really?
it doesn't it basically saves money in the mint because they don't have to keep printing the many bills because it's like, oh, this will last longer because it can't be destroyed as easily as.
Well, I meant
cotton
just
paper
like
one.
if fancy euro money is worth more than American money, and I trade it in, like say I have a $5 bill,
Yeah.
and I give it to the trade-in people, and they give me more than $5, or you know what I mean.
Well, I mean, if you say if you had €5 and you put it to the
That's what I meant,
exchange,
yes.
and they gave you like
$5.25
$5.25 American back, that's a
Or
25% 25 cent profit.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like a coupon for free gas.
For at least 1 gallon's worth.
Not to ruin the party, but that's not exactly how foreign exchange works.
Yeah, I know.
Shut up, Mike.
Oh, okay. I'm back here working the grill.
Math is racist.
What? Now, when you're doing tax
So-
returns, it's not.
This may be
Difficult.
true, but you just go over there and play with your fancy numbers.
Okay.
He does it so willingly.
I love tax returns.
I know you do.
I'm so
Goddess of Whim says, it's my day off. Let's do this. $2. Thank you so much, Goddess of Whim, for the donation. We appreciate that. Let's see. Did I miss another one here? I thought maybe I did, but guess not. I think we're up to date. Thank you for that. Look at this. Arwen's cute ass is here.
Oh.
Okay. That's a nice little donkey there. Yeah.
Cute
That
little
must be
ass.
Arwen Avalon.
All I know is it's a cute little ass.
It's like little Sebastian, if you know your Parks and Recreation. Is it Tiny
Nope.
Pony?
Nope.
Oh, you.
I know the show,
Watch that
but-
show. Yeah.
I've heard of the show, but I've never seen an episode.
It's quite. You would actually really like one of the characters, Mike. He's very, very much a man's man type of thing, right up your alley.
We already have some member milestones, though. We have Big Raj, who's been here for 11 months. Boy, Sadie is just.
What is her problem? She's
I
actually
don't know. There's probably a cat outside.
She's being very Bambino tonight. It actually finally chilled out, by the way. Bambino finally got. I think he's now used to the sound of your guys' voice, so he now finds it soothing. He used to be like. He used to like freaking lose his mind every time I went live on Midnight After. Remember when I had to take like breaks every 20, 30 minutes because of Bambino?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that. Spider Unlimited says, here's $5. Oh, well,
Thank you.
Appreciate that. And then Steven is here and says, Hail Tom. Midnight said,
Yeah.
Mexican Iron Man script, mods, and Chad. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Deleted Scenes, aka Steven. Yes, Sadie is getting involved in the show. Neighbors are outside doing their thing. And we had some member milestones I was in the middle of. Larry also has been a member for 8 months. Thank you so much. Captain Trek has been here for 11 months. Thank you so much. And I believe we're caught up then. Thank you for that, 6. For getting me caught up on that. And then, what's new with you guys? What's the haps, huh? Is that what the kids say nowadays? What's the haps?
What's the haps?
No,
I thought that went out like in the early 70s.
Maybe.
I was thinking 40s.
I don't even think they had haps in the 40s.
What's the haps, kids? See?
Well, me and Script have something in common. We both just spent a lot of family time the last week and a half.
Yes, yeah.
Script, you had your in-law or the girl in
the girlfriend's parents were visiting. Yes, they occupied my time, and they were quite entertaining.
So you met the parents.
I met them a while ago, but it's just they decided to surprise us. Neither myself nor my girlfriend knew that they were coming down. So that was it's been a fun few days.
Thank God you finished all your script work, that big project you were working on, right? You must have just finished it in time for them to show up, huh?
Who do you think helped him?
Well, I was working actually, like they left this morning, so I was working a bit on the on another science fiction project with another writer, and it's going really well, and I can't wait to see what happens with that. And then just getting other things all sorted in order, and
you were writing, and her dad comes over and he's like, "What's this? You're one of those Star Trek nerds? Ah, shit." Honey, we're leaving. You're not marrying this dork.
Did you say Star Trek?
I don't care what it is. It's got the sporky guy with the ears. Get the fuck out of here.
Luckily, I don't have that situation yet. In any regard,
sounds like your girlfriend's dad sounds pretty cool from what you were telling me.
No, yeah, he's a cool guy. He's a no nonsense type of guy, but he does like his fiction. He likes his mystery books and some of the like the
I like Army, more stories, kiddo.
Army military novels. He likes those types of military novel fiction stuff, spy stuff. Like, yeah, he likes some things of that nature. So we get along quite well, actually. We both complain about the same things with regards to his daughter, and we have a bonding over that.
I'll tell you this much. I don't know how, and I'm just going to say it like this. It's going to come out bad, but I don't care. I don't know how you white folk deal with the cold up there in the north.
Tell me about it. I want to get the fuck out of here.
I don't deal with it. Freaking script. I don't know how you Canadians and how you.
I have 2 space heaters. I have one on right now, keeping me at normal temperature. I have another one in another part of the house that I'll turn on if I have to go over there. But yeah, it warmed up to +1 today, and that's Celsius, so not Fahrenheit. So yeah, I can't. No, I miss southern weather. I really want to be able to get down.
Dude, I'm Mexican. I make the joke that I say that behind my neck there's a little tattoo that says "Do not store below 72 degrees Fahrenheit."
Yeah.
Yeah,
you should get that tattooed. It'd be bad.
I mean, my people weren't meant to be like that cold. If it was like, if my people were meant to for us to be in the cold, like jalapenos, tomatoes, and shit, and lettuce would grow in the snow. But it doesn't grow in the snow. And that's why, I mean, I literally left Hilton Head. I got in the car. This is last Thursday morning. Get in the car. Got back late Tuesday night. So Thursday morning, get in the car. When I leave Hilton Head Island, it's 72 degrees. When I got to Connecticut, there was snow on the ground, and it was burr cold, like 23.
There's no excuse for that.
That was a good one. You did a
That was the best dad joke ever.
That was like, you did a funny. Anyways, and let's just say this. My little tortilla nardos were freaking cold script. I mean,
yeah, they would be.
Wouldn't they be like Mexican nuggets?
Yes, the jalapeno nuggets. Yes, were cold as burr, whatever a burr is. Glad to get back.
No, I've had enough of Wisconsin. Like, I want to get the fuck out of here. I had enough of this one day. It's fucking shorts and t-shirt weather. The next day, I'm shoveling snow. The next day, it's raining and thunderstorming.
Right.
The next day, it's snowing. I'm sick of this. I want to get the fuck out of here. This is no way to live.
It's not. And the other thing too is, like, you get in the right temperature. You want to be more active. You want to, take Bambino on longer walks.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I want to shave my beard.
You haven't shaved yet, Script?
It's too cold to shave.
If you shave, people will lose you in the snow.
That's right.
What?
Yeah, if World War III breaks out, all Script's got to do to be camouflaged is just shave and take his shirt off.
Yep.
You won't be able to and then die a cold death in the snow?
Well, that's the trade-off.
Well, I mean, I don't like the cold, but I am unfortunately used to it, so I'll be okay.
You Southerners in this dying in the snow shit. You realize you got to be like 30 below for like hours to die.
I don't know, dude. Like, let me.
Well, the other part, you just dig a hole and you'll be fine because your body heat will be trapped within the hole.
Right? Or find a bantha, or not a bantha, a tauntaun, and sleep inside of it. They're nice and warm.
We killed them all in Canada for food, so they're extinct.
They smell worse on the inside than they do on the outside.
That is true. That's why you don't see any tauntaun jackets, because you just can't get rid of the smell.
Shinobi's had enough of this shit too.
Who?
Cold.
Cold. Just enough. Fuck it. Like Dragon Master. We like warmth. Indeed. And hail, George. I sent you a link if you're not busy.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I normally do. I also got Dr. Colvin Hales here. Seen a few other people come in.
I'm a doctor. You're a doctor. He's a doctor. He's a doctor, Dragon. You're a doctor.
Nobody's sang that song for like 40 years. You realize that, right?
Wouldn't you like to be a doctor? To be a pet. Wait.
Is that the Dr. Pepper Street Phone theme song?
It is the Dr. Pepper song, but it has nothing to do with it. It's I'm a pepper, you're a pepper.
Oh. Yeah.
Wouldn't you like to be a pepper too?
You know what I wouldn't want to be? You know what that is?
Cold?
In Wisconsin?
Yep. God, you guys got all my
that campaign was probably one of the most annoying, dumbest, and head-scratching campaigns in history.
Dr. Pepper is my only favorite soda. I don't even like soda.
No, I don't mind the soda. I'm talking about the campaign, like that song. It's like, why? Why that?
Because it's awesome.
Now,
oh my God.
Dr. Pepper, like Dublin Dr. Pepper from Texas.
Wait, what?
I think there's another Dr. Pepper that uses real sugar, not the corn syrup.
It's regional, I believe. But you know how Dr. Pepper got started?
The dentist wanted more money.
No, well, actually, there was a pharmacist, because back in the day, they used to do the soda fountains at the pharmacy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Drugstores. So a guy said he had a stomach ache or something like that. So he come in and he's like, I got a concoction for you. He literally just took all the different flavors and mixed it together and gave it to the guy, and he burped. He's like, I feel better. So he called it Dr. Pepper. And he had basically just the exact amount of whatever it was flavor. So it's like a mixture of all the different soda flavors, basically.
Wow.
Well, at that time, they probably had cola, like a 7-Up type, lemon lime soda. Maybe like something like an orange soda or something with some zest, or a cherry
what is Sprite exactly
flavor.
Like, I don't
Sprite
know
is basically like 7-Up.
Yeah, I mean, they're the same drink, but I'm like, I don't I don't recognize. It doesn't taste like other sodas, so it's like I don't know what it is.
Well, they all kind of try to come up with their own little unique spin on the tastes, so they can probably try and trademark them, or not trademark them, but copyright the formula in some way. I'm sure, because that's like the whole thing with Coke, is that every cola company's always tried to match Coke's flavor, except for Pepsi. You know, like the ones who got the closest, I'd say, is RC Cola got the closest to Coke. They're not quite Coke. Yeah, they're near Coke, but not quite.
That's nasty.
But Pepsi's like pure sugar in comparison to Coke.
It's like it's liquid sugar.
It's like liquid sugar.
Because Coke has a bit more of a density to it, but Pepsi does not.
I'm not a hard soda fan. Like I don't like, darker sodas usually, but I will drink root beer once in a while if it's good, and a good Coke, especially a good Coke in a bottle that actually has real sugar in it.
Yeah,
like
the only
Mexican
soda I
Coke?
drink is Barks root beer because that's.
Wait, did I hear something about being Mexican? What
Mexican Coca-Cola is the best.
Yeah, but I don't really like Coca-Cola. I really don't drink sodas.
I'm not a big fan. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of colas, but if I do, it has to be Coke usually. And same thing with drugs. So
you want Coca-Cola in your drugs?
Always Coca-Cola.
Oh, I get it. You were sending me a subliminal message for me to catch.
Will always shine, the birds will always sing. Every time I snort it, I always get that zing. Is that how it goes?
Wait, that was a real thing?
Well, the song was, I don't remember the words, something like that. You stick it in your nose and there you go.
Yeah, no, I never heard that one before.
It's pure Colombian, man.
Yeah. Well, Mexican. Well, haven't heard that one before.
First you get the money, then you get the power, then you get the women.
Well, back when I was partying like that, it would be first you buy the cabana, then you order the bottles, then you get the chicks, then you pull out the party paraphernalia. That's how it was back in the day.
Probably likely. You know what's really funny?
What?
I haven't even shared out this link yet, but we've got over 200 people watching here. And I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like button, hit that share button, let everybody know we're live. Because we do tend to do that twice a week or so on here. Go live, And
we're not
YouTube,
always all live when it happens, but
yeah. No, well, and YouTube don't want to help.
Oh,
never. So please share out that link. Let everybody know that we are live. We got some news to talk about. We got a little more casting news for Dune 2.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
We've got something to do with Chris Pine here that Six sent me. I don't even know what it's about. Something about working with an intimacy coordinator and
wait, what?
Waiting to see a Star Trek script, something around.
Oh my God, that could be my new job. Mexican Iron Man could have a promising career as an intimacy coordinator.
Ooh.
Maybe Human says no one here sounds alive.
All you got to do is say, not intimate enough. Get more.
I think we need some cocaine. Then we'd sound more alive.
We don't need any of that. Those are not positive life choices.
Do you realize how much activities we could get done?
No, that is not a solution. That is inviting a new problem into the equation, Tom.
I mean, you two both are adults, so you can do whatever you want, but
no, I'm putting my foot down. I'm putting my foot down, Thomas, producer. Listen. That was me putting my foot down.
You know what? If they actually made coke legal in a state, that'd be like the most productive state in the union.
Only for the first few months, and then it would just crash.
Doesn't matter. By that point, it'd be running itself.
It'd be
it would not.
It'd be like in the number one and for first place in the consumer price index and economic growth is let's pick a state. Vermont.
I don't know. Vermont's too laid back for coke.
Rhode Island?
Florida.
No, there's too much of an elderly population. They'd die too quickly.
They need it. Just tell them it's a miracle drug.
Arkansas, probably.
You know, I ain't felt this way since I was in the disco days.
Well, you know who would be our spokesmodel? That would be like Frank would be our spokesperson.
Yeah, Frank would be.
It makes me feel so young.
That's what Gonzalo says. He says we would have to invite Frank into that.
It makes me feel I can get all the housework done. It makes me feel like I got a big ass shit-eating grin. It's my favorite sin. I don't know the rest of the song. I'm just making shit up as I go. Cocaine.
No, Congo.
Congo. There's plenty of cocaine in the Congo.
I mean, we don't actually have any proof that Frank actually did that stuff, right?
That is correct. I'm pretty sure he's a far more sober person than is made out to be.
There's no proof I don't. And
all right, Frank.
And clear.
And clear.
He's in the bathroom.
So. And like he's in the bathroom doing this.
No, the real Frank Marshall's probably pretty laid back. Although he did announce recently that Indiana Jones 5 has finished filming.
Unbelievable. Yes. No way.
No, yeah, it's done. We'll see what their pickups are going to be like, I guess, in the spring. And it's a debut still for late next year, I think.
I believe that's the plan.
The lovely Sherry's having Jarrito soda right now. Yeah. Oh, my God.
Is that how you say that? Jarrita?
No, Jarritos.
Jarritos.
A little more with your R's.
Like burritos, but with...
Well, no. Go ha.
Ha.
Ri.
Tos. It's the same shit I just said.
No. Okay, now put it all together.
Jarritos.
There you go. You did it.
Yeah.
It's just like burritos.
Tom Connors Jr. está hablando el español in Midnight Edge after dark.
Multi-language. What?
Hitting the SAP button.
Jarritos, the cure for halitosis.
There you go. Well, no, hold on.
It won't
give you halitosis.
I don't know. It might mask it well.
Depends on how many onions are in it. Cardinal Sin's here, and he sends in 1999 and is a member. Thank you so much. It says, Hail Mead and Mexican Iron Man, my hero.
Hail Cardinal
What did you do?
Sin.
Did you save him, or did you save his kitten?
No, but we're really good friends.
You didn't. You just left this kitten in a tree.
No, I don't think he has a kitten or let alone a tree. Or if he does, I did.
Well, not anymore because you left the fucker up in the tree to die.
I never checked Discord. I don't know because I don't never check my Discord.
Well, he says you're his hero, so you must have done something right. So.
All right, cool.
So thank you for that, Cardinal Sin.
Thank you.
Can't believe what you did to that cat.
What the?
Morgan King is here and says, Tom, when are you going to release your songs as singles? And have you heard the National Treasure TV show on Disney Plus? Yeah, I remember them talking about the National Treasure TV show a while back. Is there finally some movement on it? If there is, that's some news to me. As far as when am I going to release the rest of the songs? I got about 6 more to record, and I've hit like a lyrical roadblock. I've got the music done for the most part. I just got to finish up the songs. Then I'm going to release them all. And you can either buy them as singles then or a whole album. And then I was even thinking about maybe releasing some other special goodies too. We'll see. Hopefully not too much longer. I was shooting for this summer, but every time I give myself a date, it just flies by. So we'll see. But I'll be trying. I'm trying. Got a few songs done. Just want to get a few more done to actually constitute an album. Just got to get some inspiration. Nikki D says, do you think the Obi-Wan show will ultimately impress or disappoint the fan base? That's a good question. Script, were you with us the other day when we watched the trailer yesterday? Can't remember.
No.
So neither one of you, we've gotten your response.
I saw the trailer. I just haven't. I was occupied with the.
I didn't think so. So let's get your guys' take on the trailer. Nikki D's probably curious. What do you think, Script Doc?
Well, it's.
Don't beat around the bush.
I don't care to see it. It gave me no incentive to see it. We get to see Obi-Wan Kenobi on Tatooine. And for part of me thinks that one shot where he's watching this kid Luke pod race, I think, on the dome of the hut. Part of me thinks that's like the last episode, because the only way you can actually have something meaningful in this show is if Obi-Wan is kind of like a part of Luke's life, as like a friendly neighbor, and then whatever the events happen from the show cause Owen to basically say, no, Ben, you can't come anywhere near this family, this farm ever again. Get off the planet, get away. You're not going to risk Luke's life for your whole Jedi mysticism. And then Obi-Wan's like, okay, I will remain a distance. I will not bother you guys anymore, because I don't see any other story to tell that would be of any real significance, or at least do justice to the first Star Wars film from '77. I just don't. I mean, there could be one, but I'm just not seeing one outside of that, what I just mentioned. And this show doesn't seem to do that, because it's got a number of characters that have lightsabers, and that's supposed to be kind of a rare thing that not many people see, and seems to be a little bit too commonplace in 21st century Star Wars, in my opinion.
But it was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
You think? Yeah.
Mikey, the man with all the lightsabers. Speaking of, what did you think?
In fact, just yesterday, as a break from an otherwise stressful day, I went around to all the walls in my home studio and in the house, and I recharged all 24 lightsabers that are mounted on the wall.
Wow.
So, I don't know why, but I turned one on and it didn't turn on. Then I turned another random one on and didn't turn on. And I got pissed. I'm like, how many of these aren't working anymore? So I went and charged them up. So what do I think? Well,
yeah.
I have 3 quick comments. Comment number 1, it looked freaking great. Better than expected. But, and this is not my original idea, I did not point this out. I think it was Fatal J on the Dark Council, or it was Jay on the Dark Council that made an observation that, I think it was Jay, or Fatal J, one of the two, that made the observation that we always get good trailers from Disney almost all the time with Star Wars. But what do we actually get when we see the final product? More often than not, we get crap. I mean, I remember being not so much the Rise of Skywalker movie, but I know at least for the other two, I was batshit ape nuts on those trailers, including the Last Jedi trailer. Of course, I wasn't as dialed in like I am now with you fine gentlemen, but it's every other. I mean, almost every trailer that comes out looks good, and and having just gotten burned on the freaking Beta Fett episodes, I'm sorry, did I say Beta Fett? I meant to say Boba Fett.
You did.
So 1 is that it looked great. Number 2, F me once, F me twice, F me a 42nd time, and shame on me.
F me deadly. Oh, sorry, wrong song.
Yeah. And so my second comment is that I'm not gonna let the win. My third comment is that as Tom calls me, I'm a tequila bottle half full kind of guy. I go into almost everything pretty damn optimistic. Now, I may rant the shit about it later, but I at least try. And I at least put in the give it the old college try, like they used to say. In
the worm's not dead yet, as they say.
Yes, the worm is still spinning around at the bottom of the bottle, and Mexican
having
Iron Man,
the time of its life.
And Mexican Iron Man sees that little worm and says, "Swim, little worm, swim, because soon you're coming to daddy." But anyway,
live your best life for 2 more seconds.
So my other comment is that I am triggered anytime I see female or minority. I'm now at this point where anytime I see anyone with a skin color that's not white or female and wherever, like at this point, my woke trigger is just ridiculous. And I don't know what it took as a Mexican American community. I was a community activist in shitty ass parts of an urban area for literally 2 decades, well over 2 decades. And for me to get triggered, I mean, you must have beat me up pretty hard. I was talking with Loki about stuff, and I was just like, I'm like, what if this thing turns out? I don't want to steal the thunder from the show tomorrow, but we were talking anyways, and I'm a little wondering if the Inquisitor. I have 2 comments. One of them is that maybe this Inquisitor chick, the black chick that's is looking for, maybe this ends up being her princess story. Because one thing I know about Disney is that they love to insert princesses everywhere and make them the bestest ever. And how do I know this isn't going to end up being her story at some level, or or another storyline arc in addition to? Maybe
Oh,
this isn't
it'll probably be her sacrificial story because she never shows up in the original trilogy, so she's got to die.
right, and maybe she dies a hero or something, or she's stunning and brave, and that's what like tells.
Are you talking about the Inquisitor lady?
Yeah.
Oh, I can tell you how this is going to end.
And so, wait, let me finish my last thought, and then and then jump in. So, for all I know, is like this is going to be her stunning and brave story. And good point, Script. Maybe she dies in some heroic effort, and she goes from being a bad person to a good person. The other thing too, I notice about these Disney weirdos is that a lot of times they'll like for diversity's sake, they'll make a bad person the diversity person will be the bad guy, which just further shows how truly racist they truly are, in my opinion. Yes. Oops, sorry. I said the.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because normally they wouldn't, but in this case, I think it's kind of a red herring. I think by the end of this show, she will have flip-flopped sides, and it's basically what I said before is probably what the show is going to be about. Is that an Inquisitor is sent to go kill the son of Skywalker because there's rumor that he has an offspring. Obi-Wan's going to run interference. Something's going to happen. She's going to flip sides. She's going to see that she can't turn him in, and that's going to throw the Empire off his scent. And she's going to say it's nothing. There's nobody there.
Which is kind of weird because, and correct me if I'm wrong, anyone in the chat, but isn't Tatooine part of the Hutt cartel? So the Empire can't really go there without certain permissions.
That's why you send an Inquisitor, but yeah.
Well, but the Inquisitor is part of the Empire, right? Like there's.
I get what you're saying, but yeah, they're sent there undercover, and we also see that they go off world at some point, so which looks like Coruscant likely, but
hey, at least we're getting off world. That's something to look forward to.
Yeah, let's get away from Tatooine for.
But I think you're right. I think that shot we're seeing is like one of the last shots, and that'll set up the contention between Ben and Uncle Owen, and why he'll be like, "Yeah, stay the fuck away from this kid. All you're doing is bringing him problems," kind of thing, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that'll be pretty much it.
How old do you think that kid is? They're like 7, 8?
7, 8. I think people were positing that he's the same age as Anakin was in Phantom Menace.
Yeah. I hope
now this is pod racing.
I hope we don't get that kid speaking. That's I don't want to.
No, I hope that's all we see of him, and I hope you're right. Like I hope it's always at a distance. Like the closest we get to him is Owen. And then that's like the whole thing is Owen is like overprotective of him and yada yada yada.
Yeah.
So I on the other hand, like I'm kind of in there with both of you. I mean, it looks like there's some good stuff here, but there's some other stuff that gives me pause. I know what they're capable of, and you can take that both ways, right? I know they're capable of great things, and I know they're capable of fucking this up royally.
They have the tools to do something great, but they don't know how to use those tools.
I agree. Right. And this is one of those few times where there could be something to be told here, but if you get a little too fancy pants, it's going to ruin everything. And I think that's the fear most people have, especially with bringing Vader into this. I'm not so sure I agree with any part of those two meeting again. And even though there's a lot of people making points about it, it's like, I don't know. You got somebody who's basically like I don't see why there's any reason why Obi-Wan Kenobi wouldn't know who Darth Vader is, what he looks like, all that kind of business, right? I mean, he's one of the higher ranking members of the Empire. So chances are most people would know who he is.
Well, I would say that from Ben's perspective, he would probably be keeping tabs on the Empire for Luke's protection.
Even if
and then he would have that revelation like, oh my God, Anakin is alive. He's got a mechanical suit keeping him alive, and he's going by the name of Darth Vader, which no one else.
Which he already knew. Well, he already knew that in Episode 3 that he was Darth Vader.
Wait, I don't remember.
He sees that hologram, and this is that
he sees the hologram of Anakin killing the. Things
no, they also show the hologram for no good fucking reason because they need him to know. Remember,
the hologram of the Emperor
donning him Darth Vader. Yes.
Okay, I forgot about that.
Which I'm like, what? How the? Because I don't even think that's in the novel. I'm like, wait, what? Like, why would there be a hologram of that in the Jedi temple? Like, that makes no sense.
How did it get there? Yeah.
Exactly. That was my first question when I saw that in the movie, but I'm like, whatever. They just need him to know that he's Darth Vader. That's why.
Yeah.
Like when you see
the only
end
thing
of
that
the
they would
movie,
need to know in the Obi-Wan series is that, oh my God, Obi-Wan realizes that Anakin survived that being burned alive somehow.
But no, that's how he actually knows the name, because I think he says
I'm
that.
not talking about the name. I'm just talking about that he exists still.
No, I know, but that's my point. Is that's the only reason that's in there, is so they can have him know that, setting it up for the fact that I'm pretty sure George had it in his mind that they don't see each other again until A New Hope. That was my point. Yeah.
And then the other part too that they kind of failed is like every time Obi-Wan calls him Anakin, and he's like, it's Vader now. Like, he doesn't say that. He should, but he doesn't.
Right, exactly. And then we got Magnetic Mags here pointing out that the Hyperions premieres tonight at 8:30 on YouTube. That's right, the Daily Wire's new movie. I think I have a Daily Wire subscription, so I should be able to watch it myself whenever. In fact, I might even be able to go watch it now. I think they dropped it today. I can't remember which. Or it comes out at the same time.
8:30 p.m.
It either drops at the same time, or if you have Daily Wire, you can already see. I can't remember which, but yeah. But it only shows once on YouTube, and then you can go watch it on the Daily Wire. That's the point I was getting to. But yes, I saw the ad for it earlier, so hopefully it works out well for them. It looks interesting. We'll see. And Goddess of Whim says, I agree with Mr. H and Az. I'm worried it's going to be a bait and switch. Most people in the comments were more excited about the music. Oh, the music was completely there to sell it.
That's how John Williams got his credit for this one. It's like, oh, we're just going to take the, Duel of the Fates, throw that on there.
Well, that's what I say. Didn't he give Obi-Wan a new-ish theme, basically the Force theme kind of thing?
Right.
When?
In Empire. I keep on to call it Empire. Phantom Menace. I don't know why I keep going to Empire. I have to go through my soundtracks. I got a few of them.
I don't recall an Obi-Wan title in the.
I don't think he ever got a specific theme, but yeah.
No, there's the Jedi theme.
He just kind of had the Force theme in the first film, and then it was just kind of carried over throughout.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I remember feeling how excited I was for the Last Jedi trailers and going to see it. And just literally when that lightsaber got thrown over the shoulder, me, a guy who collects these things and has collected them forever, and seeing that thing get tossed, that's my heart sank, dropped, and I didn't give a shit about the rest of the movie from that time on. So I don't know. And then Boba Fett, I was all in. I dragged myself to watch Boba Fett, as you know, Tom. And I said to myself, I'm going to do what culture does. I'm going to watch the first three. And I saw the first three, and I thought they sucked. But I said, you know what? I'm going to power through it. Somehow. Liked a couple, and then got dropped on my fucking face by the end of the fucking stupid show.
It was a very empty series. There's
God, it was so effing stupid. And
Speaking you know what?
I resist that fucking show trying to turn me into like, you know what I realized happened to me? I was like, you know what? I'm gonna celebrate 2 or 3 episodes that I liked. But overall, what I'm going to do with the lesson I learned is that I did like some of it. I did like a lot of it. But overall, the thing sucked. It was lame. But what I'm not going to let Disney do is turn me into a normie fan where my expectations are lowered so bad that I start to accept crap as standard fare. I don't eat hamburgers at shitty I don't buy steaks at shitty joints. And I sure as hell am not going to lower my standards if I think something sucks just because I'm happy for the bullshit they're going to feed me.
Yeah, well, a great way to do that is always compare what you're watching to the best thing you've ever seen.
Brilliant.
That's your standard, right? And it's like, well, it's not as good as this, but it's darn close, and that's a good way to do it. But you don't want to say, oh, well, at least it's not as bad as that, because that's the wrong direction. That's the worst direction. That's the direction Hollywood's been doing for the last 20 years. It's like, well, it's nowhere near as bad as this movie. So for that,
I've been using Howard the Duck as a bar. How's that work?
Howard the Duck is the bar you don't ever want to reach.
I want Citizen Kane Star Wars.
All right, well, let's get into some news here. We got a few news stories.
All right.
I had a segue there and I lost it anyway. We got an update on this Chris Pine business. He talks about working with an intimacy coordinator on All the Old Knives, which I think is the Knives Out sequel, I guess. and waiting to see a Star Trek 4 script, or what is all the old knives? Oh, never mind.
I
That's
do not know.
Janus Metz. It's a totally different movie, I guess. He plays a CIA agent who reconnects with his former colleague and lover.
Metz. Yeah.
Janus. That's what I said, ain't it?
No, you said Janus.
Whatever. Fucking same thing. It's not my fault he's French or whatever. Fuck. I don't know. There's it a she. I don't care. Chris Pine plays CIA agent who reconnects with former colleague and lover Thandie Newton to find out that she knows about terrorist hijacking of a plane that occurred 8 years prior. The Amazon drama is based on Olin Steinhauer's 2015 novel of the same name, is told through flashbacks as the two have dinner together at a gorgeous restaurant in Carmel by the Sea, California. As the meal goes on and wine is consumed, they begin. Who gives a fuck? We came here for
I think
Star
I know
Trek.
this script. Yeah, it wasn't great.
And then he talks about crap. Yeah, a lot of yada. Where's the Star Trek bit?
Just Control F and search for Star Trek.
I don't know how to do that.
I just told you.
All right, here we go. What's the text? What's the text went around when you and your Star Trek co-stars all decided to do a fourth movie? I think everybody was like, "Did you hear about this?" We're usually the last people to find out, but I do know we're all excited whenever they want to send us a script. We're ready for it. Have they told you anything about the script? We haven't seen a script. I don't know anything about it. So you trust them that much that you signed on without a script? I don't trust anybody, but I'm excited. I love the story. I love Star Trek. I love my people. He said he didn't sign on shit, basically.
No, he did not.
I mean, he's technically contractually obligated, but they're also contractually obligated to pay him a buttload. So, yeah, that was the interesting thing with that little funky announcement is Paramount took any and all power away from themselves and put it all in the hands of the actors. So basically, they're at their mercy right now. This movie ain't fucking happening anyway. So,
not this version of it, which is non-existent.
Well, did you see the morning show yesterday?
I only caught bits and pieces of it.
Well, Bob Backish pretty much dropped a few hints that Paramount's being ramped up for sale, like I was saying. So that's what I think a lot of these announcements are.
You've been saying that for 6 months.
Yes. They're just doing all this to try and make themselves look good.
Yeah, but it's having the opposite effect, which is funny because...
Well, yeah, they got called out for it, yeah.
If anyone is smart, if any buyer is potentially smart, they're going to say, oh, it doesn't matter that you're trying to do all these productions to increase the value. We know what the actual value is, and these productions are not going to increase it unless they drop and do a massive amount of success. And the window for the sale is going to happen before those things drop. So
that wasn't even the excuse he put in the paper, though. Evidently, I don't know. You must not have read the story, but basically the story was that any company you buy, you have that time before you can get things up and running. With Paramount, we already got things up and running for you. So for a potential buyer, that's a good thing. That's
to a degree, but take a look at the Fox acquisition with Disney and how much of the stuff Fox had already made that they've shelved and will never see again. Or never see ever because it's never been released.
Speaking of never seeing again, I never thought we'd ever get to see this gentleman again. It's been so long. George!
How you doing, my brother? How you doing?
Hey, George.
Good. George!
Mexican Iron Man. Script, how y'all doing?
Oh, we're getting by listening to the lack of Star Trek news.
Yeah.
When did Chris Pine become Jeff Bridges?
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, in the last 5 years or so.
Was it him that worked with him on that one where they were chasing ghosts, or was that Deadpool actor?
Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds was working with him on R.I.P.E.D. or R.I.P.D. Sorry, yeah.
I remember watching the behind the scenes for that. They were talking about it was supposed to be a whole franchise, and
that'd be funny if he just starts acting like Jeff Bridges. I'm Kirk. Yeah.
I thought what's his name was the Reservoir Dogs. I thought Tarantino was going to do a Star Trek.
That was a flash in the pan, wish we all got kind of thing.
Liars!
But it was never going to happen. He was never going to direct it.
No?
It was never going to be anything he was going to probably do.
All liars!
I think he was just going to be a producer on it, and then he went out and talked some shit on JJ, so that's probably never going to happen.
All liars.
So you think this is happening? And please tell me
No.
Kurtzman's not involved with anything new, with any films. He just gets to destroy television. Right?
Well, don't con me, Con. I'm Kirk. You know. How is my Jeff Bridges? Not very good.
No.
Yeah.
Fuck you then.
I didn't even know
I'm
what you were
kidding.
doing. I'm like, who is he sounding like right now?
I thought it was pretty good.
Hey, Paulie.
Yeah, Paul in this in the chat there. No, I don't see this. It was just a big investor call, and as Bob Backish kind of alluded to in a recent interview, that the company is set up really well for sale. They've got properties, they've got IPs and all this business, and they've got stuff going. They've got Mission Impossibles and Star Treks and stuff like that.
They
That's all it
do,
was.
but in order for them to make any profit, they have to get rid of a lot of people that have been tanking those IPs over the last decade.
You mean Kurtzman?
He's one of them.
Well, you
Who
know what's
else
even
is there?
funnier?
Sorry.
Oh shit! No, go ahead.
Who
Michael
else is
Bay.
saying, Yeah, Michael Bay. Wait, Michael Bay. How does he connected? And I'm missing something. How is he?
Transformers through Paramount.
Right, not Transformers. I'm talking about Star Trek.
No, he doesn't. do
He's
Star Trek.
Leonard Nimoy's nephew.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh no, not nephew. His cousin. Okay, so his cousin, Michael Bay's cousin, is Leonard Nimoy's wife.
Oh,
Nah,
really?
he has no connection there.
Yes.
But no,
Because Leonard
Par-
Nimoy voiced one of the Transformers in Dark Side of the whatever.
That's
it was.
right. He was the last
He
one.
got him because he's a family relative.
I didn't know that.
But in my digging around about stuff, I found out some things about Paramount, like in Michael Bay's company, and that was how they treated the actors who played the Ninja Turtles in the new movies. And it was not very good. Let's just say they weren't even treated like actors.
Well, how were they treated? Like prisoners?
They were treated like voice puppeteer / Okay, let me put it to you this way. I listened to an interview with the guy who played Raphael,
Okay.
and he basically throughout the interview got to the point of the second film where he only had to do it because he was contractually obligated, and him and everybody else wanted out of it. Yeah, because they were treated like nobodies in the movie. Because like when he first signed on, he's like, I don't know about doing this. I'm gonna be behind a mask. Nobody's gonna know it's me. Yada yada yada. He's like. And the studio sold it to him like, no, you're doing the acting. It's your emotions. You're in the scene. It's you doing it. And when we do the press, you're going to go out on tour and all this business. Well, then
remember him on tour.
They learned pretty quickly that wasn't the case. They were basically paid like voice actors. And they were treated as such too. He basically said in so many words, because like there was this one day they went overtime. And they were at the studio, and the studio was literally shutting down for the weekend or whatever. And since all the crew was going to they were worried about the crew getting into overtime and having to pay the crew. They were getting the crew out of there first, while they were just sitting around and waiting for their turn to get a ride because they didn't get paid overtime because of their stature as actors. Wow. And then he's like, so when it came to the second film, he expressed his concerns. And they're like, oh no, don't worry, it's going to be better this time. We're going to give you points on the back end. We're going to make sure you're out on tours and da-da-da. None of that happened, of course. So like the whole thing was this miserable experience, he said. And they were treated like trash. And he's so glad the third film never happened, he said. Because he was contractually obligated to that shit.
You think when a new film comes, they're going to race swap one of the turtles or gender swap? Just curious.
How do you gender swap a turtle?
I don't know, but Hollywood will come up with it.
Well,
how do you even race swap or gender swap a freaking turtle? Like, what do you make?
There's technically 2 female turtles to choose from already if they wanted to, but I hope
from the originals.
What?
Well, there's Danica, who's a newer one, and then there's
I don't know
the one from Venus. Yeah, Venus from
from the Saban ones.
I think both Eastman and Laird have had this thing with trying to introduce a female turtle for a while, and it just doesn't. And they're not alone. I say leave it the fuck alone. It makes no sense.
Yeah, well, it's only interspecies romances with the turtles.
In the real world, are turtles like binary or?
No, that's frogs.
Frogs. Yeah, because they just race swapped Robin. I saw a little while ago.
Oh, that's on the docket, my friend.
Oh, stand by. Stand by. That's definitely on the docket.
Robin. I mean, it's.
Hey,
I
Tom,
was waiting.
Tom, can you switch me? Exactly.
I was waiting to see that. Dark Knight Returns, female Robin. Kelly.
Yep.
Kelly.
Carrie Kelly. Yeah.
Carrie Kelly. I can never say her name.
You
I
know
always
what's
get
funny
it.
about that is, I know, like I've said it before, I'm not a big fan of these redundant characters.
Mhm.
I hate even Robins. I hate all the Robins except for
Really?
her. I don't mind her.
I like her. I think she's awesome.
And the reason for that is probably because I have a soft spot because Dark Knight Returns was one of those comics that I first read that was that was a Batman comic, so it kind of really I have a soft spot for it. So I don't mind that version of Robin, and she is a little bit different-ish.
Wait a minute. You don't like Dick Grayson?
I like Dick Grayson just fine. I just hate like all the other Robins. Like
I hate all the Robins.
I don't see a reason for Dick Grayson to grow up because to me, comic book characters are just like cartoon characters. They don't have to grow up.
Yeah, I don't like Jason Todd a lot.
That's my point. Is I don't see.
I like him better as the Red Hood.
And Nightwing, yeah, he's kind of cool, but I think Chris O'Donnell proved that Nightwing is kind of redundant because he basically has Nightwing's costume and he's the same age. Yeah,
just with a red logo, but that later changed.
Pretty much. But yeah, so on that note, fuck it, let's get on the DC news.
Well, I'm curious about one thing. Do they not look at everything that's going on, like in the last few months with Spider-Man No Way Home success, with Ghostbusters success, with Dune success? Do they not see at DC how leaving things the way they are traditionally would be better? They should just create newer universes or new characters instead of co-opting prior legendary characters or legacy.
Well, technically, this is a new universe they're doing. It's because I recognize two of the characters, the female ones. I don't know who this male one is that they're introducing that show, but no, like they don't care. I mean, they're part of Berlanti. Berlanti is a successor to Alfred Goh and Miles Miller, who did the Smallville, who they race swapped Pete Ross character from being like this kind of strawberry blonde white kid in Kansas to a black kid. And then they completely screwed over that actor by just not using him in any of the real stories and then eventually writing him off. And so, yeah, and Berlanti's been doing that ever since with all of his other things. Like even the new characters that they create, they're like, oh, okay, we'll just retroactively change them to this guy. So John Diggle's now really he's John Stewart, but not
John Stewart. Yeah,
it's a really perverse thing that they're doing. And
I don't understand it. I don't understand.
Well, they do it because they want to. I mean, again, we're getting more information of that ESG, which is basically a government grant that goes into productions. It's the only thing that's keeping shows like Batwoman financially viable. Because it's got such low ratings that no network would ever have a show like this. But the only reason it's still being produced is because I'm guessing they're getting a huge check from ESG programs to subsidize the production of this. So as long as they keep putting the show on the air, they're going to be getting that money. And it's basically the turnaround. Like the amount of money they invest in the show is infinitesimal to what they're probably getting on ESG grants.
Doesn't that turn around?
That's something that we need to talk about because I don't think we brought it up on the show before, at least not specifically. But when we talk about ESG, which stands for what is it?
The scoring system, your social credit system.
Right. No, the E is equity, social,
equity, social governance or something
right.
Of that nature.
And so a lot of times we're like, focusing on like, well, don't they see that this is going to be better? But when these investment funds, when these venture capital firms put money in, or these firms that put money into publicly traded companies launching their investment as part of the budgeting process, when they have their capital, when the capital comes in, take for example Disney, which just announced, by the way, for all the talk about Disney might realize what the fuck it's doing that's wrong. But Disney, by the way, just recommitted to its reimagination program, which is a total ESG thing. So then they take money, allocate it into their budget, and then this budget then fuels a lot of this woke garbage.
Right,
Better Jedi said.
Oh, I'm dead against this shit. You know exactly why they want this shit. They want this so they can take guys like Trump and stop them from spending their money.
Right. Yep. But it doesn't make sense because how much? Okay, so the government eventually you're going to turn them into Pravda, correct? Because it's the government funding them in order to produce an agenda message. That's basically it.
Oh yeah, we've gone.
Yeah, the message is not even relevant. It's just getting the visualization of the people, the players to be represented.
Right. But if no one's watching, it doesn't matter. Like you're on the air, but no one's watching you.
Yeah, but you're doing it so that you get that free money. The other part too is like if there was a show that was absolutely well written, great, and it had a diverse cast of characters that qualified it for an ESG, but it didn't have any of the politics, nobody would bat an eye because they're like, well, it's a successful show, and we're also getting this extra grant money because of it. Right. So it's a win-win from them. But there's just doesn't seem to be the skill within the productions to actually achieve that, and it's quite possible. Like you tell me, and you say, "Oh, script doctor, listen, I want you to write a show. I want to have a diverse character cast with these types of things to check box, and yeah, we'll do it up there." And I'm not going to just write a show about the check boxes. I'm going to write a really great show that just happens to fit into the line of the check boxes, and I'm also going to try and make it as universally appealing as possible. But the thing is that you have a lot of lazy, superficial writers, and the fact of the matter is that a superficial writer is not going to be a good writer. A lazy writer is not going to be a good writer, obviously, because of the term lazy.
Batman.
But they're also taking a look at. So I think what has happened is that over the last 40 years, there's been a glorification within the writing community of the tragic writer, the writer that's an alcoholic or has some sort of vice that gives them such a struggle that they're able to write such great works. And what we're getting are people that pretend to have those struggles to write.
Kind of like that bullshit they gave us in Mank. Sorry.
Who was the writer? Who was the writer that I don't know why I'm blanking on names today. Favreau. He played in an HBO special once a writer who was drunk and on drugs. They said he was a real Hollywood writer. You know what I'm talking about? The movie.
I'm familiar with that story, but that trope has been so glorified that I think the writers that we're getting, especially today with Star Trek Discovery and CW shows, is that they're all talking and writing about quote unquote traumas within their episodes, but none of it feels real because the traumas are petty. Whereas the writers that were lauded dealt with real issues, but the thing is that they were aware enough of them that they were able to write something good as a result. But they also failed to realize that every writer that had those problems is saying, you know what, you don't want to be like me because my life sucks. Yes,
Hemingway.
I make great works. People love what I do, but the torment that I've gone through to get there is not worth it. So it's really better to be a person that overcomes that personal pain. Right. And then when you have a clear head on your shoulders, you're able to understand, oh, this is what I was going through. This is how I solved it. I can actually tell a proper story, and I don't have to be self-destructive in nature in order to fuel my creative process. Because if your creativity is derived from self-destruction, or in the case of a fictional problem, like what many of the writers that we're seeing with these shows, you're not going to give us a good quality because it's not going to be genuine. And I think that's the fact that we've had an absence of people that are stable in society that work on creative arts. It's like, yeah, I'm a stable person. I know who I am. I know how I can make my day and do the stuff I do. But I see these horrible things, and because I've gone through it myself and I came out ahead on top and not broken as a result of it, I know the best way to convey that type of struggle in my art so that other people who are dealing with that might be able to overcome the hurdles that I overcame. That is the goal.
That's beautiful.
And I was on Polly's show last night, and I don't know if Polly's still in the chat stream, but I was on Polly's show, and then in the post-show private Zoom, one of the artists was talking about how when he got that clarity that you just talked about, the sobriety, that clarity combined with discipline, that's when his real creativity began to shine, and when he was really able to, output some creative music.
Well, I look at it this way: you had guys who had demons who could actually still do good work through the drink and drugs, as opposed to these other kids nowadays who their fucking whole thing is, oh my fucking god, I'm traumatized because I gotta pay my own fucking bills.
They didn't use the pronoun. Yeah. But I've always had a question about Berlanti. I believe, unless I was misled, script wasn't Berlanti or Tom or Mike. I thought Berlanti, when he started Arrow, that he was a person who respected the comics, respected the spirits, that he would always adhere to him. That's what they kept
love Script's laughter.
No. Yeah. Oh my God, no. I mean, if you see that pilot to Arrow, you're like, they're trying to make him way more Batman than he is Green Arrow.
Right.
And that show.
I never watched it.
Yeah, it's totally Batman.
The other part too is that the Green Arrow is an old school lefty. He's the guy that fights for the little dude. He doesn't like big corporations that ruin small businesses.
But he has a corporation. That's how he.
He has a corporation, but the thing is, like, he has this big struggle where he's trying to make that corporation into what is actually right, because he spent 5 years on an island with nothing, and he understood what really is valuable, and it's not wealth, even though there is some value to it. It's basically skills and humanity that's more important, and that was his kind of a quest, and that's what he always would butt heads with Hal Jordan, who is like hardcore conservative, like following the orders of the government, like of that time. That's what the conservatives kind of were, which is like, yeah, the government's our friend, even and whatever. And then that all changed in the 80s. But regardless, that was their back and forth at that time. And then you're like, oh, we've got Greg Berlanti, openly gay producer who's very, very left leaning, writes a show about a character that is kind of a left wing character and does zero left wing things with him. Like, it would have been a perfect show to actually platform some of the ideas and do them well. They never do that. Stephen Amell, rumored is, got very frustrated with that, because he's like, I did all this work reading old Green Arrow comics, and not a single one of them has ever played into what's going on into the show. So it's like, what's the point in reading them? And Berlanti came from the Alfred Goh and Miles Miller camp of Smallville, which is like, oh yeah, your hero's got to be a whiny, depressing, teenager all the way into their adulthood, and not the inspirational hero that people can actually get behind.
You're not wrong. I just realized Script's right. He writes shit like a fucking 14-year-old girl.
Then how is he everywhere?
That's what pissed me off about fucking Arrow as it got into the show. It wasn't so much, part of it was it turned into a soap opera, but the part where I really started it started really bugging me, and I didn't realize it until later, and now, like, since we've been dealing with all this woke shit, it was when it started getting into other people's feelings. And what's her face, who was fucking had her feelings hurt because she wanted to work with Arrow and all this shit. And it's like, fuck you, bitch. Who cares? He's out there risking his life. Who cares about your fucking fifis?
Yeah, all I know,
it's like,
I agree with you. I saw 3 episodes, Tom. I agree with you.
It started out okay, but like Script's right. It was a wannabe Batman show that turned into like Super Friends,
which is
so my favorite my favorite comic book series that I followed for years was Green Lantern, Green Arrow. I absolutely love those books. I absolutely love them. And,
I like Green Arrow and Hawkman.
Well, what was her name though? The secretary chick. What the fuck was her name? The one that he first started diddling, and I can't remember what happened after that. But
all I know is there's a blonde woman in the episode that I saw, Tom, and she was just telling him what to do. I'm like, is this Green Arrow?
That's Black. That's Black Canary or whatever. But
that's Felicity Smoke, who's from the comics.
Or Felicity, that's who I'm trying to think of.
She's from the comics, but she's a very minor character. She's almost like in and out. But
okay.
Well, no, that's where it really got to me, because there's this bit where where they first kind of get going. It was early in the show, and she has this scene where she's literally standing in the doorway, and she's telling him about how she's all upset that she's not allowed to help him and all this other crap. It's like, what the fuck is this? It was like it turned into the Felicity Smoke show from there on out.
It did, because she was cast for only 2 episodes, and she was going to be an off character, but she performed very well with the producers that they wrote her into the show, and it completely took whatever direction they had completely off the rails. Because now, instead of it being a partnership between the driver and Green Arrow, it's now we got the computer tech wizard now. And then that's what started the new formula of, now we got to break up our hero into all these other stuff. It was like, you have the hacker, the bodyguard, the muscle, and then you've got whatever.
Same thing that Flash became, basically, yeah.
Well, they just copied it for the Flash.
Yeah.
And the Flash pilot was pretty okay.
I like the pilot.
But then they have because they were trying to do like a Sherlock thing in the pilot, and then they abandoned that in the second episode because they realized we don't have the talent to do Sherlock. And
that first season
is also a repurposed script that was rejected by Warner Brothers Studios for their Flash film. They broke it up and made it one season. Yeah,
wasn't that something that also happened? Because like twice during the making of that first season, because you're right, like they canceled the Flashpoint movie, so then they ended up starting doing it in the show, which I remember hearing something like that, which they just basically used the same script. And then like 2/3 of the way into the season, Warner decided they were going to do Flashpoint again. So then the series had to completely go in a different direction. So like that's where the latter part of season 1 goes off that storyline and then into season 2 and shit. And that's where I got pissed off.
No, you're missing up the timelines completely, because their Flashpoint they didn't do till season 4 of the Flash.
Well, they did Flashpoint already.
Well, they set it up in the first season to be Flashpoint.
I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it.
Not really, no.
Because I thought that it starts out with the death of his mom and all that bullshit.
Yeah, which is normal. Like the flashpoint itself is the fact that he goes back in time and
I know, but all that shit's that's the way the Flashpoint starts out. It tells the story of his mom
what they
getting
did
killed and all that shit.
what they did deliberately in this one is they always knew if he did go back in time, he was not going to stop his mom's death. And then they changed that a few seasons later where he did, and he lives in it, and then he has to go back. It's a whole mess. It's a messy show. Greg Berlanti is one of the people who. So Martin Campbell directed the Green Lantern movie, and Martin Campbell is known as like the savior of franchises.
Wow.
And he directed the Greg Berlanti script of Green Lantern, and that movie bombed. So that tells you like who's got the better habit or pattern of success between the two, Martin Campbell or Greg Berlanti, and still it's Martin Campbell. Like
Really?
Martin Campbell restored James Bond twice. And Greg Berlanti has only brought in stuff that has failed every single time. But luckily, because he's got the drama, he's got the points, and he has the connections, he's able to have a whole bunch of these shows on at the same time and just rake in some easy money for Warner Brothers, as opposed to having something that's such a huge hit that it would have elevated him so high up within the Warner Brother television pantheon that you would never have this conflict of HBO Max only having like Peacemaker as a show that people are actually interested in, and all the others are kind of just waiting over in the background.
Wow.
So to go from TVs to movie, what are the movies that are being deferred?
I was just gonna say thank you because I've been trying to get to this story for like 45 minutes.
It's been 20 minutes.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Aquaman and Flash delayed till 2023. Shazam 2 moves to Christmas 2022. Warner Brothers release date shuffle. So we're going to get into this here real quick. According to Variety, Warner's has shuffled the release dates for several movies, including Black Adam, The Flash, Aquaman 2, Wonka, and Shazam 2. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom and The Flash are both being pushed from 2022 to 2023 due to COOF-induced production delays, with visual effects and Jason Momoa's or the Jason Momoa starring sequel is being pushed back from December 16th to March of 2023. Meanwhile, Ezra Miller's first solo outing as Flash is speeding away from November all the way to fucking June.
Why?
2023.
But why?
This movie has been delayed and delayed. And
does that mean there's a problem with it?
I think
Obviously.
so.
No,
I'll tell you right now.
I don't know what it means. That's
yeah,
why
it has nothing to do with the COOF. I'll tell you right now, because this movie, George, this movie is the reason we got Spider-Man No Way Home.
Why?
Because when they announced that they were going to get Michael Keaton to come back from Flash, that's when Feige went to Sony with the idea of bringing back all the Spider-Men and villains. And they fast-tracked No Way Home. No Way Home was conceived, written, and shot, edited, all that shit, all during the COOF.
Yeah.
So you're basically telling me that because they didn't think about it too long, they just went with their gut, they actually pulled something off?
Feige's always done this. Whenever Warner Brothers, he is positioned to where whenever Warner's announced something, he can counter it like that.
Why does he carry that? Why does he carry on that Marvel DC thing? I mean, I thought that wasn't. I thought the movies had broken.
It's
with
more
that.
of an anything you can do, I can do better kind of.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
So I got Spider. Wait, I'm a DC guy. Why can't I get my fucking movies? Why?
This movie,
Warner Brothers stinks at making DC movies. Doesn't matter like how much they rake in at the box office. The fact of the matter is that they've restarted Batman 3 times in 10 years.
Right.
I mean, that's not a good sign. I mean, it doesn't matter that they brought in the cash. It's like if they brought in the cash that really meant a value to Warner Brothers, they would have stuck with the one that worked. Instead, they had Christian Bale, which the only reason we didn't get more of that is Nolan didn't want to do it anymore. And Warner Brothers is like, well, since it didn't cross over with Superman Returns, and Superman Returns bombed, and Green Lantern didn't do the process as well, we might as well just do a cold restart again. And unfortunately, they did the cold restart with the wrong team, with Man of Steel. And then they got introduced Ben Affleck Batman, which I think is a good performance on Ben Affleck's part.
I liked him.
But it was such what's the term I want to say?
Lackluster?
It was a little. I mean, it was fantastical in one aspect, but it didn't have the pull that they really wanted to get from the studio. Because when you're combining Superman and Batman in a film, you're not looking at a single $1 billion take. You're looking at pushing or breaking $2 billion because it's $1 billion per superhero, right? And then you put them both in one movie, it should be $2 billion, and they did not get that. And then you have the controversy.
Or in the
with
very least, at least 1.5. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
So they weren't happy with the 700 they made with the BVS?
Fuck no.
Because I thought that was
they
great
panicked. They panicked after Batman v
But
Superman.
that means they made their money.
No,
it
George,
doesn't.
they announced to them
I thought it was 250.
They announced they were going to do $1 billion. So anything less than that.
Yeah, they basically fucked themselves when they did that. They were expecting. Okay, here's the thing. Batman v Superman cost like $250 million.
Right.
So that means to break even, they had to make like 700. They barely broke even with like 850 some, I think it was, in the box office.
But
they did okay on video, but that did so bad that sent them into fucking panic mode. That's when they went from giving the DC universe to Ben Affleck, to yanking it from Ben Affleck, giving it to Jeff Johns and Berg. Right. And then Hamada come in, and all that shit all happened because of that. And that's when they panicked, because they were in the midst of Justice League when BVS came out. Right. So that's when they pulled the shit on Zack Snyder, and everything went off the fucking rails.
Then because it seems like I thought Zaslav was going to come back, was going to go to Warner, and he was going to straighten this whole mess out. He was going to restart.
This might be Zaslav's doing. Now, technically, legally, I don't think he can do anything yet. But who's to say that this isn't his doing? Because this is all coming right after the Batman came out, and regardless of how like Script and I felt about it, and how maybe you guys felt about it too, it did do well enough that this move kind of is like, okay, so what is this exactly? What are they doing here? That's
the deal happens this summer, right?
Say again.
So the transition occurs this summer.
I believe so. Yeah.
Next quarter.
So if that happens, and then I think Zaslav is probably going to want to look over what these films are doing, or what status they're in, and then ideally, if he makes a decision of like, okay, we have this time, we have this window to fix it and get it out and make it give us some money, or we let it slide, and then we just say this is our denouement to the old guard of DC films, and then we start ushering in something new, which Zaslav is not going to have it's not going to be an overnight change over at Warner Brothers. I think it's going to be about 3 to 5 years before.
It's going to take some
figure out
time.
I thought he's the kind who changes it within a couple of months, the way his character.
That's impossible, because you can't change something when you don't understand the status of it. So if you've got these two movies coming out, and they're not coming out till next year, the only thing he can do is basically go by his own taste and say, we're going to change it to this, and we're going to see how it works. And then once that year, you have to wait for that to see how it works. And then you have to wait about 2 business quarters to see if it really was profitable within the company. And then from there, you can then start to make a change. And it's not going to, and that's when that change starts to happen. So you're still looking about minimum 2 years out.
Okay.
And then on top of that, after he does that, he's like, okay, we have to try something new. So that's another year and a half minimum.
I see.
And if that works, then he goes with it. And if it doesn't work, he's now checked off a whole list of things that he knows fails, or at least doesn't bring in the money yield that he's going to need to bring in. Because again, he has to look, he can't just, like, Warner Brothers has been kind of rating their own films within their own studio system. So it's like, okay, Batman v Superman, $700 million. Well, that did really great compared to all the other Warner Brother films that came over the last 3 years. So we consider that a success. But that is the worst way to run a business, especially a competitive one with other studios, where you have to look at something like, say, Avengers Endgame and be like, wow, that did like $2 billion. We need to be able to do $2 billion with a DC movie, and we need to be doing it on less of a budget and with better characters. And if they don't start thinking that way, all we're going to get is really derivative takes on these heroes. And the Batman, I'd be very surprised if that breaks 700 million globally.
Well, that's another thing I was going to say, is we have to wait and see how the second weekend plays for the Batman. I've been hearing some mixed
400 is what I heard
across the board, as far as like Scripted said some things before we started the show. I had talked to a few people, so I've been hearing kind of different things, but no, Script is right as far as like actual movie wise and stuff like that. It's going to take a little bit more time to see Zaslav's actual contribution or impact. Is the word I'm looking for. But what we will see right away is it'll be on the executive level. We'll see a bunch of heads roll right away. That case will happen. But no, I see where Script's coming from on this, and what I see happening here, because it's more than just some DC movies. There's some other stuff going on here with this. There's another movie involved in this, and that's Wonka. And here's my point of view on this. The only one of these movies that's being moved up is Super Pets, because it's done. It's done. It's ready to go. They're not going to probably change it anymore. That's why they're getting it out. I have a feeling Black Adam, The Flash, Aquaman 2, and Wonka, which it was recently reported to have been done shooting, are all going to go back for reshoots. For some reason, what we don't know yet. And then Goddess of Wind brings up the point here that Tug, that Umbrella guy, says that DCEU is being pushed back because of a certain Aquaman starlet trial with Johnny Depp starting this April. Now, that would affect Aquaman, but that wouldn't affect any of the other films. And I don't think that would have any impact on Aquaman's shooting schedule if they're already pretty much done shooting. But now if they go back for reshoots, it could.
What's the reason for reshoots typically? Is it to correct something, or is it something you thought of later? It
varies. Go ahead, Script.
It does varies. In some cases, it could just be a mistake that nobody noticed during trying to make their day. Other cases, they'll be doing an assembly cut and they'll realize, oh, this thing that we wrote in the script doesn't track as well as we thought it does. We're going to have to make an adjustment there.
Make connective tissue, yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's like another form of rewriting. So you have the script and you think, oh yeah, this is great. You then start putting it into production, and then you start to realize, oh well, more voices are now being heard. You have actors talking about like, well, what's my motivation for this scene? And then the director says, well, you're doing this, and then the actor, if they're being attentive, they'll say, well, okay, I understand that I'm doing this, but I don't understand why I'm doing this because I don't see anything where in the script where I have that connective tissue. And then the director's like, oh, son of a gun. I love the script so much I completely forgot about that part. We got to we got to go write that part in there and then get it in for a schedule for a reshoot day. And so that's all put on the back burner. And if you want to hear an interesting story about this, Kevin Smith, how he got involved with Die Hard, the Die Hard, Live Free or Die Hard, they did the exact same thing. Like, he did a monologue, he had to write it down, and they had to then schedule a day to shoot it, which would be called a reshoot day. Even though it's in production, it's still a reshoot day. And that's what they did. And that's kind of like the thing it happens is like someone's not satisfied with a certain scene, it's not working with all the other stuff they shot. And so they're like, okay, well, we have to start scheduling a rewrite of that scene to make it work and flow better. And then we also have to do all the pre-production for that reshoot and then log it and file it, film it, and then bring it to the editor and then get that thrown in and put it all there. It's a very complicated process, but it's always to be expected that you'll have to have some reshoots, because once you start tightening up the story and getting everything all done in the editing room, you start to realize, oh, well, maybe we have a plot hole here, or maybe we have something that's not right there, or maybe we need a reverse shot of this. And you got to go in and be like, okay, we got to bring our main actor in. We got to shoot them the reverse angle for a reaction that didn't register properly the first time around, or get her or him to do a line, and then we're done. And it's like maybe 1/10 of a page that they're really shooting, but it's a whole day's work.
I got you.
But that 1/10 could probably solve a whole slew of problems that's in the story narrative. But yeah,
okay, that makes
very
sense.
complicated.
Do they ever shoot multiple scenes so they could go, or multiple endings, or multiple sequences? They can go, which one
written beforehand, absolutely, yeah. But they don't know that right away. It's all
sometimes they'll have to reshoot it if the ending tests badly, if you have scenes that test badly, stuff like that, if they have to come up with a new thing. But the thing with Amber Heard, as much as we dislike her, as much as we'd like to think she's a problem in Warner Brothers' eyes, we got to remember they backed her.
Yeah, but
they got behind her. So
he's in the sequel. It doesn't.
I've asked people; they don't know about it. Most normies don't know about that. They go, "Oh,
I don't see." And no, honestly, as much as I respect Tug's reporting on things, I don't see her being the reason for this delay.
Yeah,
she is not a big enough factor. Because if that's the point, is if they were worried about her being an image problem,
so what
they just wouldn't have had her in the movie in the first fucking place.
So because all of this stuff, it just here's this stuff that I throw out there, and I'm going with the whole Warner Brothers incompetently manages the entire DC universe. Period. Whether it's comics, whether it's TV with the CW, whether it's movies, we've got basically overall incompetence in the last 20 years overall. Script, you agree with me?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So given the fact that we know that the Flashpoint movie, which by the way is probably a sack of crap that has to get redone, and it connects to all this other shit, the entire slate has to be pushed back because they've done something or did something that fucked things up, and now everything's going to be fucked up.
Well, there's another thing they're not mentioning here either, is that Dune's production got pushed back a little bit.
Why?
It's still just a little bit, by like a month, I think it was.
Well, that doesn't surprise me because, Tom, if you think about it, they announced that they were going to have it out in 2 years from when it came out. That is real fast.
Well, they're still running behind. We got to remember, things are still getting up and running. But these movies that are being delayed here, these are all done.
This is
like these have been shot. They're done. They're in the can.
I thought Dune was done to Dune 2.
No, they haven't even started shooting yet.
Yeah.
No, I thought he was shooting it simultaneously.
He should
have.
No,
he should have. Yeah,
he should have, but he didn't. What there were reports about, George, is that there's reports that a lot of the large scale sci-fi CGI stuff that there's a lot of stuff they didn't use that they could possibly use.
I got you.
In the second one. So basically that the fact that they have that, what the reporting was that there's going to be less time potentially in post-production, potentially.
They can amortize some of that stuff.
Right, but they still got to shoot this damn thing. Now, and here
well,
DC,
the other stupid thing was they tore down the sets. They got to rebuild the sets, I heard.
Yeah, that was dumb.
That's silly.
That is pretty dumb.
That's a waste of money. And James Wan, he's still directing Aquaman 2, correct?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I mean, they trust him after. I mean, because the first one, didn't it hit $1 billion?
Yeah, actually, Aquaman, as far as I know, I think did the best of all the DC movies, didn't it?
Yeah, so based on its budget to return, it's right behind Joker. Yeah,
if you don't count the Joker in the DCEU part of it, but I know the script will tell me DCEU isn't technically a thing, but the Snyderverse.
It's not. They're just DC films. Yeah.
So my question is, why wouldn't they push that out quicker to have another hit?
I think there's something wrong with the movie.
There might be something wrong with the movie. They might be looking at what its competition was going to be originally, and be like, well, we might as well just give ourselves a few months of breather.
Because Aquaman's been in midst of reshoots for a little while now.
Because isn't it a summer movie? You know, water.
Well, they released the original one in December.
I didn't know
they did.
Oh, okay, my mistake. Because it felt always like a summer.
You would think, and that's what they're doing for this one now. It sounds like they're moving it to, or wait, what was the date now? Okay, let's see here.
Christmas.
Originally it was Christmas. Where'd the dates go here? Okay, let's see here. Warner Brothers is shifting. The Flash I got here. Okay, that's being pushed back to March. So that's coming out in March instead of December. And Ezra Miller's Flash is being pushed from November to June. Black Adam is being pushed back 3 months to October of 2022. So that's still coming out.
So basically, the Flash is going to be the last one of those three that's going to hit the theater.
It was funny because that's the first one they shot.
Right, but that's the one that they're worried about. I mean, isn't that
they're already done shooting Batgirl.
Right, but that's the one they're terrified of. That must be it.
No, this is actually quite interesting because beforehand, the Flashpoint would have actually come before Aquaman, right?
Right. It would have.
So basically, what I think they're doing is they're reorganizing these films so that the Flashpoint would be the denouement, the end of the old, and ushering in the new. Even though there's going to be some casting overlap into the new, I think that's what the Flashpoint film.
You know, if that's true script,
because if it's going to be the last one after Aquaman and after,
you mean of the Snyder people,
of the Snyder, legacy, so to speak, that would be Flashpoint.
That would be
closing it off.
But if I remember, Tom, didn't you tell me it was like 4 weeks ago that the people, if the Snyderverse doesn't get rebooted, there still would be two people who would be remaining, would be Aquaman and Gal Gadot.
Oh, they're going to keep Aquaman. They're going to keep the actors around.
That's Flash.
I see where script's coming from. They're retooling the Flash.
But how do you kill the Snyderverse but keep the actors who are still playing
the Flash?
With the Flashpoint, yeah.
No, I know
reset the timeline.
I know, but how do they explain that? You get rid of Affleck's Bat, but you're keeping Momoa's Aquaman and Gadot's Wonder Woman and Ezra Miller's.
The way it works in the movie, this is the what we heard is there's two different endings. There's an ending where Batfleck lives, and then there's the version where he sacrifices himself to save the timeline. And hence, like when they get to the other side of whatever happens, Ben Affleck's Batman doesn't exist then.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a smashing of worlds, so to speak.
I
And
got you.
some disappear and some don't. If I was in the Zapslav's position, I'd be like, no, let's just end it there. I mean, listen, Jason Momoa, for all you like, he's not an Aquaman. He's Lobo. He should not be the character.
Lobo, yes.
He is way more suited to Lobo, to being like, kind of
Biker.
what he is.
Space
Gal
Marine.
Gadot, beautiful woman, but she just doesn't have the gravitas for Wonder Woman. I mean, she's kind of being forced into this role. People like her because she's attractive, and I don't begrudge anyone for that, but she does not.
Appears nice.
She does not
Well, and
do
Bass
anything for
brings up
Wonder
a
Woman.
point: is a lot of these guys are getting to the end of their contracts too. On top of it,
There's also that as well.
But don't
yeah.
they renegotiate them?
They
I thought
can.
that was
They
the whole, like,
can.
what RDJ did and Evans did, and
that's
Well, the
just
thing is,
it.
RDJ and Evans were actually very, very popular in their roles, way more so compared to Jason Momoa and Gal Gadot in their respective roles.
really.
Oh yeah, like again,
Well, you have a problem with the second Wonder Woman film now, even though
you
they
have
don't.
that, and
They
Yeah,
were
but-
able to hide it through the coof.
But that's because what's her face wrote it. The director, the first one
she
was.
didn't write it. Dave
I thought she
Callahan
wrote
wrote it. Dave Callahan
Right.
wrote the script. She
She
was
came
there
up with
saying,
a
"I want to see
story.
these things in the movie." That's what
Oh.
she does, and she got herself a writing credit based on that, which a lot of
Oh, see,
people
I
are
never
doing that.
understood that. When it says writing, I thought she's the one who wrote it. Okay, thank you for
it
telling.
says story by. Hers is
Story
story by.
about it. Okay, I thought
Story
that was
by
the
is
heart
not
of it.
writing.
Okay, no problem.
No
Thank you
problem.
for- No,
Yeah.
I didn't know that because I sometimes when I see that when it says story by, I assumed it was they wrote it.
No.
Okay.
There's story
No,
by,
that's
there's
how-
written by, there's teleplay, which means that teleplay is another version where someone else comes up with the story and then they give all the details to the writer to write it out.
Okay.
And then there's written by, and then there's screenplay by. Like there are all these different variations of credits. Patty Jenkins has been trying to get into the WGA to do more written stuff
Hmm.
for a while. I think she is probably a full member now, but she's not really a writer. So,
Okay.
um,
So what was the reason that one bit the dust? Because I liked the first one.
the thing is, there's no one who wrote the first one was back for the second one.
I got you. Okay.
Um,
So why would you say that when Zaslav comes in, you don't think Momoa has built up enough global reputation as Aquaman or Godot? You don't?
No, Momoa got popular primarily with Game of Thrones, and before that, he was on Stargate Atlantis. Like he's
I
a
remember.
TV guy. He doesn't have the stature for film, and he hasn't been in any other movies that have really hit big.
No.
Other than, and Aquaman is more of like a brand as opposed to.
I think his future will be dependent on how well Aquaman 2 plays.
To a degree, yeah. But the thing is, like, I don't see anyone else in the industry clamoring for him to do other roles in films. Like, that's the thing, right?
Well, I mean, he was in Dune and he's been in a few other things, but you're
but
right.
he's
Like
not
he's
doing
not
anymore.
being-
Like, he's done.
No, he's not done.
Yes, he is. He died.
Idaho died.
Gurney,
Mm.
yes, but he comes back. He's brought back his I forgot the term.
I was gonna say he does technically
Not
come
for
back.
another few movies if they end up going the whole way through.
Because he's an important character because he keeps being brought back over and over and
he does
over.
get brought back, but we're
That's
not going
why-
to see him. We're not going to see him till long after Paul Atreides becomes emperor.
Right.
Or-
I just thought they were going
we
to
got
bring
some
him.
super chats we got to get to here. DCV Titan says breaking. Jussie Smollett has been sentenced to 30 months
Wow.
in prison. I cannot believe that. That is crazy insane. I didn't think he'd get shit. I
That's
figured he'd get
sad.
house arrest.
Is it like a time served thing?
That's
Because-
That's what I want to know is what is it,
I'm
actual
looking at
prison?
that. I'm going to look because I figured they'd give him community.
Because let's just say I saw.
Shit. It says, okay, Smollett gets 150 days in jail for the hate crime.
Oh, jail.
It says, the judge says, you are just a charlatan. You have not stopped lying. Yep. It
Yeah,
says
that's a slap on the fucking
$120,000.
wrist.
It says $120,000 restitution, 30 months of probation, and 150 days in Cook County Jail, and a fine of $25,000.
150 days? That's it?
That's
Yeah,
it.
100 Thursday. It says
Considering I knew he'd get away with like.
That's not 30 months. That's 150
It says
days.
Yeah, that's not
150
shit.
days in Cook County Jail plus 30 months of probation plus pay restitution of $120,106 and a fine of $25,000. It says the actor repeatedly shouted after he was convicted, "I am innocent and I am not suicidal." What? That's weird. I'm innocent and I'm not suicidal. What does that
He was
have to-
probably oh my god, he lost it. Tennille says, for fuck's sake, so my tax dollars are funding Batwoman. Well, if we go with this ESG thing, yes.
Yeah.
What if he's not suicidal? I'm sorry. That's just
he's probably trying to get attention.
Because he's going to need that attention to garner money to pay back all the fraud he committed.
Yeah, he was supposed to face 5 years per felony in prison, not county jail. It's
well, my bigger problem is basically what he did to the nation as far as where we were, and unfortunately, you can't prove that in a court of law, at least not without any kind of specific, direct corroborating evidence. But like, that's the thing is, I mean, unfortunately, it's not the judge's job to make that decision either. But I would have given him as much as I could have just to make a point. But anyway, Kareen Not Karen says Batman v Superman was bad though. Yes, it was, and it did not do well, and it made them panic, and yeah, that sent us down that whole conversation rabbit hole. But it's true. And then Nephilim says Snyderverse is back on the table, boys. Reshoots. Actually, I would go the other direction, not to like burst your bubble, Nephilim. The way it sounds,
if Flashpoint's going to be the last of the three, like Shazam 2, Aquaman, then Flashpoint, and that's going to be coming after the Batgirl HBO series or movie or whatever it is. That sounds like the Snyderverse is done with Flashpoint.
Really?
Yeah. And I would say good riddance, because no disrespect to Zack Snyder on his ability to shoot a movie. He just doesn't know how to get a performance out of an actor or write anything.
I was just hoping
that's good.
I was hoping that Batfleck would come back somehow, some way.
That'd be nice if Batfleck could come back, but I mean, Affleck doesn't really want to do that stuff anymore. And on top of that,
that's what I've heard.
Whatever Ben Affleck would have done with Batman would have been very different than what Zack Snyder did.
Oh,
okay. I heard Affleck's
I have
done.
no doubt about that.
So even like I even heard like even if they were to go forward with some of the Snyder stuff, that Ben has zero interest.
He still won't come back, huh? Oh wow!
Oh, they have soured him so
his
bad.
entire Batman journey as playing that character led to a broken marriage and alcoholism,
relapse in alcoholism. Yeah,
which I would tell you, right? Like up until that point, there was no sign of trouble with him between him and his wife at that time. Like things were actually going pretty well for him.
And she still says that him and the nanny didn't get together till after they broke up.
That's true. Yes. It was basically his frustrations doing the first Batman v Superman, because he did have a lot. And then on top of that, it was just then he started getting into drinking, and then when they were going into Justice League, that got worse. And then after all the stuff that Warner Brothers did with regards to Zack Snyder and his tragedy, it just kind of like compounded more and more, and then his life just kind of fell apart, and then he's had to rebuild it ever since. So yeah, I don't think he's going to go anywhere near that if any of those players from Warner Brothers are still involved. And I would say he shouldn't. Let him do his own thing, because Affleck is a competent director, and he's an okay writer, and he's far superior to the other people that have been handling these franchises so far. So, let him do his own thing. And if they want him back for something else, maybe not as an actor, but maybe just as, an actual filmmaker.
Yeah, I don't see him coming back after this. I mean, if he does it, it's because Zaslav has some like epiphany that he's going to go with the Snyderverse, and he just drowns Ben in praise and money and entices him to come back in some way. And that could be one of the reasons why they're holding this out. I mean, I see where script's coming from. If Zaslav is somewhat behind this shuffling, it could be that he wants to see how these other films play out before he decides what happens in Flash. Other than that, I don't know if he really gives that much of a shit. I think it just has to do with how they're testing and the prime
how they're testing, audience reception, and then potential market value. And that's the other part too. So when you take a look at Discovery and all the shows there are some that have that had a huge hit at the start, and then they disappeared because they didn't test with the market, even though they were making some money. Zaslav was like, well, no, we're going to retool this, and we're going to make sure we can make as much money as they are getting positively tested, because that's kind of like the goal that you want, because so long as it's testing positively and it's making the money, you're always going to be building up your investment from that. You're going to be able to get more word of mouth saying, come watch this show or these programs because they're really good. Unfortunately, with the stuff that we've seen with DC films recently, you're not getting the word of mouth of, oh, you've got to see this. Like, not in the positive, at least. Like, I remember when Batman v Superman came out, people were like, yeah, you got to see this. It's really bad. Like, that's not the reputation you want.
Well, and Justice League just kind of proved
and
that
then
nobody
Justice
was
League
That
the
was
same
horrible. But that was Joss Whedon. I love the Snyder cut.
Yeah, but you also have to remember, George, that most normal people, like the normies or the general audiences we like to refer to them as, they don't give a fuck who directs these things. They don't care. They don't know who a Zack Snyder is from a Joss Whedon.
Really?
They
No,
don't.
they don't.
Yeah, and
No.
the thing is, they're completely correct in not caring, because it's not about those names. It's about, is this thing make me want to watch it again? And I only know the diehard Snyder fans that will watch Zack Snyder's Justice League multiple times, and that's good for that. But you're dipping to the same person, but the whole goal is to expand the audience. It's like, you really need to have people do what Batman 89 did, which was blow Batman up bigger than he'd ever been prior.
Or
I mean,
Nolan.
that was the thing. The regular audience loved that movie so much in '89, and then because unfortunately the following films were not as great in quality, it killed that potential. And then it comes back again with Christopher Nolan, and then The Dark Knight Rises comes, and then unfortunately kills that potential. So they had two successes where they started strong, but when they brought in Batman for Batman v Superman, it didn't start out strong in the same way. It didn't blow up in the same thing that's like Christian Bale is the Batman type of stuff that people were saying, or Michael Keaton is Batman and that type of stuff, or Jack Nicholson is Joker. Like, I don't recall seeing that, other than maybe Heath Ledger's was like the most quintessential performance ever given by an actor in a comic book film. Heath Ledger as the Joker. That was the closest thing I remember seeing in the marketing of that. But do we ever remember seeing Gal Gadot is Wonder Woman in marketing? Like, no. Like, do you ever see like Jason Momoa is Aquaman? It's like, no. It doesn't have that energy behind it. And there's a reason for that, because if it's not resonating with the general audience, the ones that are going to be carrying that movie from, say,
hell, even Affleck at least had Batfleck going for him.
Yeah, Affleck had Batfleck going for him, which was fun. But like, your general audience is what carries your movie across that $700 million threshold.
Even Henry Cavill didn't really have a fun nickname.
BVS
Cavill did
to
not
me,
get much praise either. Yeah,
I watch BVS many times because I like Ben Affleck's. I like Batfleck. But the problem I've always had with that film is it feels like there's two movies in there that have been shoehorned in.
Oh, it's like three, but yeah.
I don't know. It just feels like, I don't know if script.
Oh, there's a lot of problems. Don't even get me started on that. But Tennille says, so at script regarding Patty Jenkins, so less writing and more just making a big mess with a pen then? And then he
Not even
actually
with the
corrected
pen,
himself. But
saying,
yeah,
do this.
Yeah.
Like, it's all verbal. Like, the closest thing it probably would have been is an email.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's basically just a splurge of ideas. Like, she probably came in the room and said, come up with a way to bring back Chris Pine's character, and it's got to be set in 1984, and I want this in it, and I want the chick to do this, and then I want the bad girl lady to
make
like
her
flip
fly,
around, and she's got to fly and
swing off of lightning.
Wow.
Literally, that's probably what they did. So this
and
writer
Christian
was
Wake has to be sexually assaulted down the street because feminism.
and the script will probably back me up, and it probably wasn't even Patty Jenkins doing it. It was probably Patty Jenkins saying it to a secretary who took down notes and then handed it to a writer. Vicariously through a bunch of people.
Jeff Johns calling in saying, "Listen, I read Patty's notes. I love them. I want to add this to it." And that's what. And then again, if you take a look at Dave Callahan, he does a lot of sequels. He's got a huge list of things that's all in production. There's a reason for that. It's because he does what he's told. Doesn't mean he's good at it. If he was good at it, he wouldn't have to have so many jobs. He'd have a bit fewer jobs that would be a lot higher paying. And there's something to think about with that.
Mecca J has a good question. Do you think these constant delays are going to hurt these movies? No, not at this point, because a lot of people aren't even really aware of a lot of them, or at least in the sense that they haven't dropped a bunch of trailers yet. They barely dropped a Flash trailer.
Yeah, it's like it's not even a trailer. It's like just clips.
It's a funky time for movies. I mean,
why do you say that?
Because, well, with the COVID thing.
Oh, but that's pretty much over.
Yeah, but I mean, with
films, no,
they're gonna feel that we're gonna feel the effect of that in films for a while. Like, that's the thing with Zaslav, is it's not like TV to where he could make some quick changes, and especially in reality TV where it's easy
Yeah.
in a lot of ways to kind
It
of
can be done in a couple of weeks in reality.
exactly. Yeah, like this is going to be I'm sure if he doesn't know this already, this is going to be a slow moving ship for him to have to steer here.
Yeah,
And
'cause if he's-
overall, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, put it this way: Zaslav will have to look at the last 15 years and be like, "Well, look at this, Warner Brothers. The last 15 years has been the superhero craze, and let's take a look at your output and its relative competitors and see what the dollar value is, and be like, oh, look at that, Warner Brothers. You don't even make a quarter what Marvel Studios did with Disney." It's like, sorry,
Wow.
you know what? I think you basically tripped over your own selves during the peak time where you could have made a real fortune here. And now we have to start thinking, well, since the craze is kind of dying down, what can we actually do in the interim before the next craze pops up? It's like, well, let's get these movies out, see how they track, and see if there's actually something here. Otherwise, we're better just abandon it and then start thinking something new for down the line. And I mean, that's just a basic business perspective is, yeah, you see Marvel Studios averaged $1 billion per movie overall of the first
And they put
20
out
films.
4 a year almost. Yeah.
Of their 20 films, and then you take a look, well, how many billions have come out of the 7 films that DC produced? It's like not even 7 billion.
Wow.
It's like
Well,
it's really bad.
From what I've heard about him, he's not dumb. And if he has been paying enough attention, I think he'll be smart to do what script has said. And I've heard rumors that he's already kind of pulling strings behind the scenes because legally, as we said before, he technically can't do things.
But they'd want to listen to him, right? If he was
well,
whispering.
right, and there's people that are probably in place that'll more than willingly do what he wants them to do. But my point is this: if he is smart, which I've heard he is, and we have more than enough evidence to prove that he knows, how to kind of reinvigorate things. Script has pointed this out, and we've seen already. They just basically evicted DC from the lot. Like DC Comics got evicted from the lot. Now they got moved to another area, but the question is because they're building a new office building there. The question though now remains: are they going to get a place there?
Is that a wake up call?
I think Zaslav has realized that DC is now nothing more than a licensing / film company.
It's a brand as
Film,
opposed to something
television.
that actually is product.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think if he's smart, he'll do what script has said for a while. That is, why do we not have a DC Films department and or its own studio?
Right, like
Because
Marvel.
the script just pointed out, yes. Because if that was the case, then you could have a studio that was just concentrated on DC films and television, pumping out 3 movies a year, 2-3x amount of shows a year, and they wouldn't have any problems doing that because they've done nothing but reach stalemates constantly with DC. Here we are. Aquaman 2 is finally coming to theaters. The first one came out, what, 2019, 18?
2018, yeah.
Yeah, it's been
4 years.
5
4
years.
fucking years. It'll be 5 years by the time the movie comes out.
It's supposed to be every 2 years, isn't it?
Well, normally
3 years is a sweet spot.
But I thought it
2
was
to
2,
3
like
years.
Star Wars.
2 to 3 years. Well,
Star Wars is 3 years.
Star Wars
okay.
used to be 3 years before Disney.
Until
Here's
Disney
the thing.
came in, yeah.
The world moved a little quicker. I would agree with script. It used to be you could get away with a sequel around 3, maybe at the most 4 years apart. Once you start hitting that 5-year mark, it used to be really difficult to have a successful sequel.
Because
The only exception to that rule back in the day was Terminator 2. And that was just because the anticipation had built up for that film. Back to the Future and even didn't do as nearly as well as the first one because of that 5-year gap. Ghostbusters 2 is another great example. Gremlins 2 is a prime example. You kill the momentum. Men in Black 2 also. Star Trek Into Discovery was another one that took forever to get the fuck off the ground. In this day and age, though, where movies are so quick and media is so quick, you almost have to have your sequel within that 2-year span. Or you might as well kiss your fucking audience goodbye. Because at this point, the attention span of the audience is so minute, and you don't have the time, and this is their own fault for killing the time period a movie's lifespan used to have. Because it used to be the movie would come out in theaters, it'd get a 6-month run in theaters, there'd be a 6-month moratorium where it would go through the smaller markets and shit like that. Then it would hit home video, then it would hit pay-per-view, then it would hit cable, and then it would hit television. That's a 2-year fucking window at least. They have shrunk that all down to 4 to 6 months.
Yeah.
I thought it was 45 days.
Well, 45
No,
days now.
is your window for theaters now.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So now they've shrunk all that business down to that amount. So that attention span for that movie is out the fucking window already. Right?
Exactly.
Like people
You
There's
move
no
on quick.
milking of it anymore for financial gain.
Right. Because you can see Batman in April when it comes to HBO Max, like just for an example. It's not like you have to wait anymore for, okay, when's the 4K?
And that's going to hurt the future of films, I think. It's going to hurt their
agree.
longevity in the public's consciousness. In that respect, definitely Mecca J, to go back to your super chat here. Because like that was my point with Ghostbusters and Top Gun, right? Everybody's like, well, why aren't they just releasing them? They're done. It's like, well, in those cases, there's no incentive for them to. Top Gun, the sequel to a movie that came out 35 fucking years ago. So they wait a few extra months or a year. Who's that going to hurt? Nobody.
What are they waiting for, though?
They're waiting for an audience to be able to go see in the theater.
Yeah. I know, but the older it gets, isn't that?
No, that's just it. There's no reason for it. There's no expiration date on it. That's my point. It's not building off of a Top Gun movie that came out 2 years ago.
Exactly. They're basically hedging the bet the same way that Star Wars Episode 1 hedged with Return of the Jedi. Like, you've got people that love the movie. They're going to be very excited for a sequel because they've been waiting so long for this that it might actually allow them to have a really good boost.
Same thing with Ghostbusters. They were the better off waiting because then it put more distance between them and the 2016 film.
Yeah.
Well, what about Avatar? Like the Goddess of
That's
Princess.
the prime example of how
so many years.
We're going to see, unless Cameron comes up with, like, that's the thing. You can never underestimate James Cameron.
Very true.
But I will say this much. I have a feeling this is one of those few times you can bet on Avatar 2 is going to make maybe about a third of what the original film did.
Didn't he?
And I know that's still going to be a lot, but that is going to be how bad he should have got that sequel out within 3 years.
But didn't he shoot, and correct me if I'm wrong, didn't he shoot 4? There's 4 new ones.
He shot 2. Part 2 is done. He's in the midst of shooting 3 right now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But then he's going to have to take a break in between there to do the post-production. And I've heard he's got some gimmick with this new one. I don't know what it is. Nobody will tell me what it is. I've heard from 3 different people now that there's some new gimmick he's got. He's going to blow us all away. You just wait. He's going to blow you all away. I mean, what, glass-free 3D? And they're like, you just wait. Nobody will say yes or no.
What's it, Smell-O-Vision again from the 80s?
I don't know. This film is supposed to be about underwater stuff, so it's hard to say.
He's going to have people in the aisles with buckets throwing water.
I was just going to say, I don't even know what he can do because, like, Mexican Iron Man will tell you his experience at the 4DX theater, so all that stuff's already been done. VR? I don't know what else he can really do. It's like you basically see the movie in 3D.
No, VR could be the only thing.
Well, you could, but how are you going to do that without putting people in headsets? Like I said, and then in that case, you just do the glass-free 3D, which is the technology's been there, but he's not going to get all these theaters to overhaul themselves, especially after COVID.
Yeah, there's no money there for them to do it.
And I don't know how else you're going to do anything. What else is there left? I mean, to do at this state, the holographic stuff. Again, you're going to take the situation to where the theaters are going to have to upgrade to something they're not going to want to do.
Right, but I remember he had originally said this was supposed to be 7 or 8 movies. Like, it's supposed to be this entire universe, not just.
He's never going to get there. He'll be lucky to get 3, I bet.
Okay.
And that's probably just because they're already in the midst of doing the 3rd one. As far as maybe they have I don't know, unless anybody's heard any different. I think they're already working on the next 1 or 2. But you're right, George, that they had planned on shooting the next few back to back.
Yeah, I remember this long interview, and this is like.
But for them to get a movie out by this year, like they're planning on, he's got to stop and get into pre-production or post-production here soon. I mean,
but what's taking him so long? Does anyone know? He's
James fucking Cameron.
I know, but there has to be a reason. I mean, all these years.
He's like Michael Jackson. He just would work when he wants to work. I don't know. He just waits for shit. Like, no, I'm not kidding. Like, literally, that's what he was doing. No, well, like for Avatar, he had been talking about Avatar since what script? Like before Terminator 2 or right around the time of Terminator 2?
Around the time of Terminator 2, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, so he
Avatar around the time of Terminator 2 and Abyss.
And then it wasn't until episode 1 came out that he's like, now's the time.
Yeah.
And it was because of Jar Jar fucking Binks. And I think that's why, and that's one of the main things is he just sits around and waits for the technology to catch up with what he wants to do. So who knows? Maybe he does have something. That's why I said never underestimate James Cameron. Maybe he has something up his sleeve.
I still love Abyss.
We'll never think of in a million fucking years when this movie comes out. It's to be like, that's the gimmick. Wow, well, I never thought of that.
I like scripts out there. They're just gonna throw water on you.
No, we're thinking too two-dimensionally, I think, in that respect.
Then what's left? Holograms or literal virtual reality? Not 3D.
The other part there is one thing left, and that is a choose your own adventure.
That would be interesting. But how are you going to do that in a movie theater?
You'd be surprised with digital technology now. You can.
I know,
what stopped it before was here's the thing. They tried doing this
in '84, didn't they? I remember.
Well, they tried doing it a couple times, but what they ended up doing is Laserdisc technology caught up, and they were able to do. I can't remember the name of the movie, but there was this movie that came out in it was a cop thing, and there's actually a Siskel and Ebert episode about it. It's on YouTube, where basically the movie is a choose your own adventure, and the audience got to vote.
Oh no, I'm talking about the one that was on HBO in 84.
Oh no, the Netflix thing.
The fantasy one where you got to pick by pushing the button what choices. You got 2 choices. There was 20 choices throughout the movie.
Anyway, it's still the same point is kind of there, is that's what Ebert said. The problem is you're kind of limited on the choices, right?
Right.
And you're kind of stuck with playing out whatever. He goes, and the gimmick can only play out, you only got 2 or 3 choices or whatever. So you go see the movie 2-3 times, seeing all the choices, then what?
But how do you do that for 300 people in a theater?
Well, that's the thing is you got phone, so you can use your phone app. At the beginning of the movie, you have people scan the QR code on the screen. The problem is that's going to get distracting with the phones.
Yeah.
So I have no idea. I don't see that being the gimmick either. That's too gimmicky. The 3D worked, right? That's the thing is you have to think about it. It has to be something that's practical that can be put into use for other films
that theaters already have.
Well, not necessarily, but the whole thing with the 3D craze was that Cameron brought to the table the first time since back in the day where it was able to do polarized 3D without the green and red or the blue and red or whatever, which that's usually was the limitations of a lot of theaters, is that they'd have to upgrade their systems back then with, when it was film, it was very expensive because basically you had to have 2 projectors to run that shit. And it was a bitch. So they had to sync up, and there was a whole bunch of when they did Jaws 3 and Friday the 13th 3D, to actually go see those in the true 3D, you had to go to special places that actually had the setup. Otherwise, you got stuck seeing it with the red and blue glasses. So what James Cameron did was bring back polarized 3D with digital technology. Now you could actually do that kind of 3D, which if you've been to a real 3D movie, George, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
They don't have the blue and red anymore. You just get the clear glasses. And that's what he brought to the table. And that's something that can be something that's a play. I mean, it was around, but he made it applicable to modern film and brought it to the table so that other films could use it. That's my point, is whatever he's going to do, it's going to be something that other movies can utilize, just like he did with Terminator. It was him is the reason why we had morphing and fucking the metal shit for a while. CGI. It took that to the next level, and that's when the guys behind ILM are like, we might be able to make this photorealistic and do dinosaurs and shit for Steven Spielberg's movie when Jurassic Park came along, and it was all a stepping stone, which led George Lucas to going, well, maybe I can do it even better. No, that's really what it was. But
it's all his company anyways. It was ILM that did it all.
No, I know, and that's what he was saying, and that was and I know people hate it when I say this, but yeah, that's kind of what the prequels were him showing off what ILM was capable of.
That's cool.
Hello. Yeah, there's nothing really more to say.
I'm waiting for dinosaurs. I'm waiting for dinosaurs to be in Star Wars.
Mikey, I think we got some member chats though. I see Billy D's been a member for 11 months. Thank you for that.
I leave, and then all the member chats come flying in.
And then you had the one in the back here. Let's see. There's these Big Raj we got Larry, and we got Captain Trek. Okay, so we're good on those.
Billy D's been a minimum effort puppy for 11 months.
Yes, thank you so very much. Let's see here. So we're okay. So we're all caught up. Good. Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know if there's anything more to say about these delays other than we just got to kind of wait and see what it's all about. We don't know for sure yet. If Zaslav's involved, and we probably never will. But considering some of the reshoots in the business, I don't know how much this actually has to do with Amber Heard. Very little, I think, if at all. Because even by the time a lot of that stuff gets ironed out in the courts, this movie will be already out. So unless that stuff goes very quickly, I have no idea. And with that, we have another story. What was the other story we had here? I'm trying to remember.
The Carrie Kelly stuff.
Oh yeah, no, the casting for Dune. We might now have a possible Fade Ratha.
Fade Ratha.
Nice.
That Sting played him last.
Yes, he did.
They're bringing Sting back?
No, I wish. No, that would be bad.
No, I think he's busy making Only Murders in the Building, the Martin Short and Steve Martin comedy.
My buddy said I should watch that.
You should watch that.
Is
it's
it
not
good?
bad. It's actually quite.
Well, I like
dry
Steve
humor,
Martin.
but it's clever.
And I like Martin Short, all right. It looks like Austin Butler, the guy who's playing Elvis, is being
Fade
eyeballed.
Ratha?
Side for Fade Ratha. Nice.
So I guess Andre was hoping for Machine Gun Kelly, but
Interesting.
and looks like I got a super chat from this side here. I got a grab.
Will you check the private chat real quick?
Yes, sir. Yes. So George, you have to get rolling. So before you do head out the door, what's your feeling on this? And then tell the kids where they can find you.
Dune? I don't know anything about Austin Butler, so I'm gonna have to look him up. But I'm looking forward to Dune, definitely.
Yeah, the first I've seen of
of
him is the Elvis movie coming up.
I didn't know that. I'm gonna have to go look at that. You know, it's been a long time since we've had a good Elvis movie.
Yeah, a little while.
The last time I saw an Elvis impersonator in a film was Kurt Russell did it, and it was some bank robbery film in Vegas. Where
1,000 miles to Graceland or 10,000 miles to Graceland, whatever it was.
Yeah, and it was with Kevin Costner, I believe.
3,000 miles of Graceland. Yeah,
I like
whatever it was called. Yeah, it was actually a decent film. I don't think that's ever even been released on Blu-ray. I got the DVD, but
I don't know.
I don't think it has.
Now I have to look for it because I haven't seen it.
I know it's a good flick. I haven't seen it in a while. But thank you for being here, George. It's been too damn long, sir. Hopefully you're doing better, and we see you more often.
Absolutely, you know, I always love you,
George. I'll call you this weekend. This weekend, George.
Script, great to see you. After
Check
I get my
out his
feet done, I'll call you. I mean, message you. All right.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks.
See ya. Take care. So yeah, Austin Butler is being eyeballed to play Fade Ratha. What's your response to this, guys?
Let's see. I mean, I like the first Dune, even though it was dragged apart a few parts. But I want to see the sequel and hopefully another movie after that. I like Dune.
Well, the cast is coming together after the announcement of Florence Pugh being in heavy negotiations.
I don't know if she's right for the princess, but
I like her all right. I think she could do okay.
She's okay. I mean, maybe it's just an aesthetic thing. Like, she is a beautiful woman, but like the princess is supposed to be kind of like really, really beautiful, and Florence Pugh is not really the thing I think of on that.
Maybe. I don't know. I thought she was pretty good in Blade Runner. Jesus Christ, Black Widow. So we'll see. Then we got this who says most screenplays are supposed to have both stage direction and character description attached to them.
They're not attached; they're in the script.
Yeah. Well, it depends on it. It's technically a screenplay, isn't that basically the a written out version of the story, and then the script is the actual thing that has the direction in it, right?
No. Screenplay has it all. Screenplay
Oh, is
has
it?
your interior, exterior, and your scene headings. You have your action lines, which basically say what's happening in the scene or introducing a
So what's the
character.
difference between that and a script?
They're the same thing. They're just different terms.
Oh, okay.
Like a shooting script will be color coded. It'll have scene headings. It'll have little annotation notes. It'll probably even have a shot list numerical value stamped to every action line or every scene heading. But that's just a production script. It's the same thing. Like the screenplay is just the classier term for it. But then like a screenplay is just a screenplay, and then you'll have like the shooting script where it will break down all the scenes or scene headings will have a numerical value assigned to them, and then you also have every action line will have basically a take or a shot list assigned to it through notes, and that's what basically the director and the cinematographer and some of the actors go through to know. It's like, okay, so we're shooting 1/8 of the page. This is the action line we're shooting. It's going to be act one. It's going to be scene one, take one of this type of section, and that'll have another annotation to it. And it's just more complicated. But yeah, there's no like you don't do a screenplay and then at the end you have like an appendices that say these are all the character descriptions. They don't have that.
No, I always thought like a screenplay was more like an elongated treatment, basically. Like
no. Screenplay is the thing. The treatment's a treatment. Synopsis is a synopsis.
Gotcha.
Then you have a log line. Yeah.
I never knew that. See, I always thought they were.
Oh yeah, there's so many tiers.
Oh wow! You know who somebody brings me to tears, but tears of joy.
Bambino.
Burnett.
Hey.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Wow, I'm actually in my car driving back from John Campia's house. The 60 miles it takes me to go back to my house in Pasadena.
God bless your commitment. That is a tough freeway to drive on.
I mean,
drive safe, but yes.
Yeah, please be safe out there. And part of me just thinks like it's an online show. Couldn't you just stream the yards or zoom in and save yourself the gas?
Well, I have to go home anyway, and I've never done this before. This is the first time I've ever gone live mobile with using the technology in this Prius of mine.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Nice.
So
nice.
Is that Mexican Iron Man I hear?
Yes,
it
we
is.
got Mike here, and we got Script Doctor. Yep.
Scripty and Mike, let me just tell you, Mexican Iron Man made possible my move.
That's awesome.
Really?
We're having a real life reveal here.
Mikey does this to me. He never tells me all the every time I turn around, it's like, show me on the dial where Mikey helped you, not touched you, but like he's helping everybody everywhere. But we're glad you could hop in for a little bit, Robert. We're glad to have you here. We're just finishing up our news. Actually, we just got the news that they're looking at the kid who's playing Elvis. What the heck's his name here? I just closed the story. Austin Butler. They're in talks with him, it sounds like, to play Fade Routha in Dune 2. So other than that, we were talking about all the DC delays.
Which I think is a big discovery issue, but that's just me.
Wait,
but yeah, as far as Fade Routha,
I love that. I think that'll be great. I will kill him.
And then recently we just heard like Florence Pugh is in talks to play the princess. So I don't know how you feel about that one, but
Princess Irulan. The beginning is a very delicate time. Know now that it's the year 10,191. The Padishah Emperor Shaddam IV. I'm sorry, I won't do her dialogue.
No, you're fine,
That's a
man.
Terrible Virginia Madsen.
No, it was actually pretty good.
I just can't believe I'm driving in a car on the 91 freeway. Mike knows what I'm talking about. Going to the 71 to the 57 to the 210. That's my route home.
But that's going to end soon because R&B's going to got a new place. He's going to have a new studio built. All kinds of exciting things is happening for the post.
I was going to talk to you about that. I have a contractor, Mike.
So we're getting a new observatory. That's going to be awesome.
Well, there's a new observatory happening already, but I want to build a separate structure that will have a brand new state-of-the-art home theater, a 2-story structure, well, 3 stories because it'll have a basement. And the second story will be the new Robservatory / post-production facility. And the top floor, the outdoor deck, will have a bar, a state-of-the-art grill, and a party floor. So everyone is welcome.
I was going to say, where are you going to build Mike and
Of course, that's
mine's
a
room
dream.
there?
Well, we've got an extra room, and we're going to have a state-of-the-art home theater with couches. So, just come hang out. Just come, and we'll spend the entire summer just watching double features all day.
Well, I'm about to.
there.
I just recently committed to continue to watching Picard.
Oh,
You know what? I have not reviewed Picard yet. I have many thoughts, but it's a show that is no longer about anything except Star Trek. It has no allegory. It's not about us today. It's only a show about Star Trek, which is weird and creatively bankrupt. But hey, what can I tell you?
I haven't bothered seeing
at
it
97 years old, Picard finally has to find someone to settle down with.
Yeah, what the fuck, man? Really?
And then the horrible way that they wrote off that husband character, just.
Well, at least he's a battery-operated
poor guy?
boyfriend now.
By the way, I'm about to drive through the Chino Hills on the 71, and you might lose me or sporadically hear me for about the next 3 minutes. So I'm gonna shut up for 3 minutes.
Oh, no problem, man. I said all I said was at least he's a battery-operated boyfriend already for whoever the lucky woman is. Who I heard was his. I was gonna say it was his maid or whatever that was married to that one guy who they killed unceremoniously off screen, but in between seasons. The actor's still with us, but they just unceremoniously dispatched of them, I guess, from what I heard. I haven't seen it yet. I really don't want to. I've been trying to talk Andre out of it.
Oh, really? Well, one thing that I'm having a hard time doing is talking Claudia and Paulie into giving me dates to do their damn Picard watch party for seasons 1 and 2.
Because they know the longer they wait, it may not be relevant.
That's
apathy
is going to help kill that show, really.
I don't know, man. Like, I mean, apparently losers in Hollywood were chasing money, and as long as there's money to be had, I guess people work on this show. And I mean, the thing about this whole entire production for Star Trek is the entire thing is flawed from the executive producer all the way down to the actors. I mean, shit, the guy who plays the Doctor blocked me on Twitter. I'm like, I've been a freaking fan of Star freaking Trek for decades. How is it that the new guy on the last show, that's not even a real Star Trek show, blocks Mexican Iron Man when I'm a Star Trek fan?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I just noticed that Robert was joining the club of those who were blocked by Paramount Plus.
What?
Oh, that was a while ago.
Yeah, he posted.
I remember that. That was actually that was the day they did the Star Trek show, like live show thing. Which, God, that was horrible.
That's how I first got to know Rob was from his work on the documentary, all the interviews that he did. I got that DVD set as a gift, and that was the first time I ever heard of you. Rob was there, and I was never Next Generations guy, and you made me love Next Generations.
Well, I love hearing that. I mean, what's really interesting is I was pre-blocked by the Twitter feed is Star Trek on Paramount Plus, and when I went there to sign up, because I got Paramount Plus. Why? To watch Star Trek Discovery and Picard and Lower Decks and Prodigy. Well, that's on Nickelodeon, and Strange New Worlds. So, as a Star Trek fan, I went and paid money to the Paramount Plus streaming service, and then when I realized that Star Trek Twitter feed, I went to follow it, and found out that I was pre-blocked. Like somebody who works at Paramount Plus pre-blocked me.
It's a blockchain. We're probably on a blockchain.
Probably, but what I found interesting about that is that, like, okay, I understand I'm outspoken about modern Star Trek. I get that. But like, I worked for CBS multiple times over the last 25 years. I worked on the Star Trek, the Experience attraction at the Las Vegas Hilton. I was part of the company that created it and spent almost 2 years creating videos that played in that attraction. And then I was an actual paid Star Trek consultant for Viacom licensing in the 90s, but they would actually bring me like video games and comics and ask me if it's good Star Trek. Like, how many people in the world can say that the franchise owners actually paid them to consult and explain whether or not Star Trek or whatever they were making was good Star Trek or not? I was one of those people. So that was one thing. Then, of course, I worked on 7 seasons of Star Trek: The Next Generation when they put it on Blu-ray. I worked for 3 years creating behind-the-scenes documentaries. I interviewed most of the principals, including Rick Berman and Brandon Braga, that were involved in Star Trek: The Next Generation and Star Trek Enterprise. Not to toot my own horn, but it's like I would say that if I could be called an academic about anything, it would be Star Trek. And to find out that Star Trek pre-blocked me proves the look. If you can't take the criticism, don't work in the creative fields. You know what
Exactly.
I mean?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
apparently they're afraid of me, afraid of my opinion. Well, let me tell you, like every other, the modern age can't. They equate criticism with the destruction of their own self-image somehow, which is ridiculous. And
well, and the funny thing,
go ahead. No, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say the funny thing is you're one of the most, Tom calls me a tequila bottle half full kind of guy, meaning optimistic and open-minded and kind of, and you're at least that, if not more so than I will ever be. And so for you, a guy like you to be blocked, who sees pretty much the good in everything and gives everything a shot, like they're just haven't done their due diligence or homework at all.
Well, it's also what's really interesting is that someone who ever did that, I was not given a fair shake. And that's the problem with, look, we're seeing democracy under attack every day in this country. We are seeing a free people literally under attack in another part of the world by authoritarian dictators. It's not good. And we actually have, I used to think I was a fairly progressive left-leaning liberal. But what I have discovered is apparently I am not. I am not that at all, which is, by the way, news to me. I believe in classical liberalism and intellectualism. I believe in the free flow of ideas. I believe that a human being should be able to talk to another human being and disagree and still be able to walk away friends with that person. That's what adults do. That's what mature human beings do. But apparently our world has been so infantilized that we can't even talk to one another anymore and hear an opposing point of view without saying, fuck you, click. And
not just that, I've had that stuff actually.
Somebody. I mean, look, man, I probably have over 1,000 Star Trek books, reference books, novels. If you include comics, probably 2,000. I guarantee you, I have read more Star Trek material than anyone else currently working on Star Trek, with the exception of Mike and Denise Okuda and Doug Drexler. God bless them that they're still working on Star Trek. By the way, you got me on a rant. Here I'm supposed to be on a nice leisurely drive home.
Well, no, we've had this conversation before, Robert, and yeah, I'm sure
I'm approaching the 60, Mike. I'm about to cross the 60, heading past the 10, up to the 210 on the.
So
71.
if anybody wants an autograph, that's where you're going to find Robert right now.
Right now.
No, but
I mean,
like
if you've
that's
got drone technology, you can follow me right now.
that's kind of the conversation we've had before in private. But like I pointed out to you then, I was like, well, like if it wasn't a blockchain or your association with some of us or your outspoken opinion, let's just say if you X me where it probably came from, it was some Peter probably put you in that position. Let's say.
Oh, I know. Well,
That
it's
yeah.
yes, that's true. I mean, and that's
You
fine.
know what I'm getting at.
I understand that. I think though that look, I just want Star Trek to be great, and the first episode of Star Trek Picard was all about Star Trek. It's supposed to be allegorical. It's supposed to have something to say about the human condition. But it was like listening to it was like, you know what it was like? It was like being in high school again and going, so, you pick a band, pick whatever band you want. Your favorite band. What's your favorite album by that favorite band? Oh, I really that's not an album. That's a greatest hits compilation. What's your favorite album? Well, watching the first episode of Star Trek Picard was like that. It was like listening to a greatest hits compilation of Star Trek: The Next Generation. And I
Yeah,
kept
but done by a
waiting for
really
the
bad
actual
cover band.
Yes, you're absolutely right. So it's like, I mean, well, we're filtering through this signal, and it turns out it's actually the Borg asking to meet with you, Jean-Luc. Okay.
And yet they say Picard and not Locutus. It's like, why? What?
Why would he do that?
Yeah.
And why is Rio smoking on the bridge? Is Star Trek now advocating for tobacco products?
There's that, and then what else is like? Which Stargazer is that? Is that a refit of the one found, or is it a new model? And if it's a new model, shouldn't it have a designation of A? And like, there's so many things thrown out of this. Just this thing.
I mean, the new production designer, to be fair, has been really doing a great job adding things. But the idea, it's so funny that the Stargazer, they have all of these classic they actually went to Star Trek Online to get a lot of these ships, which is, I find hilarious, because Star Trek Online was doing the best job with the Star Trek franchise in terms of storyline, characters, ship design, everything. And they're like, can you guys help us out? And the one shortcoming was the design of the Stargazer. What the hell is this? Whatever.
It doesn't look like the Stargazer, but it's the Stargazer. But they also threw in the Excelsior, which is still in service, and a couple of other ships we saw. And I was just like, why are so many ships coming to this one point? And I just didn't get this. The setup was not established properly.
No, and you're supposed to believe that, okay, the Borg Queen, like, if they really are appealing, like, all of a sudden the Borg Queen turns into Otto Octavius and like starts destroying the Enterprise, or the Stargazer, and it was all so, none of it makes sense. You look at the stuff going, hey man, yeah, that's not
it doesn't match up. And here's the other part too, was why not every starship should have the same 000 destruct 0 code. They should be different. Like,
of course.
And it's from 200, and that's like from 200 years ago.
Yeah, like this is Captain Kirk's destruct code, or what, like it was all here. I understand what they're trying. Here's the thing. They're going back like so many other people, and when you inherit
Uh-oh.
There he went. There went the internet.
What?
Let him catch up here.
Yeah.
Oh. That didn't sound good.
Yeah, I think he went into a Spectrum Wi-Fi zone.
That's exactly the internet service provider that's out there. How did you know that?
I've been
I
up
know.
there before. I've been stuck with Spectrum. I hate
Well,
it.
hopefully it's just the internet. Yeah.
I'm
It's the
like
board
in
queen,
shock.
maybe.
My jaw just hit the floor. I was like, how the hell did he know the Spectrum? That's right. I keep forgetting. Script's one of them fancy Canadian Hollywood types.
That's the shit I gotta use. They suck.
Oh, I hate Spectrum. Don't you remember when I was trying to do the shows from out there and I was on my laptop mobile? I could not get a decent signal, not a consistent one.
I know the thing. Like AT&T has to build a network out there because their stuff is pretty reliable in comparison to Spectrum and some of the other ones.
Right.
But poor Rob in a blackout zone right now.
I'm surprised it hasn't dropped out yet.
But no, he's absolutely right. It's a very it's a cover band doing a best of hits of Star Trek. It's references for reference sake, and they're not threaded in properly.
You watched this trash?
Yeah, I have watched it. My girlfriend put it on, and she's like, "Oh, it's Star Trek." I'm like,
You
"No,
need
it's
a
not."
new girlfriend then. Jesus Christ.
Well, I corrected her, and then 5 minutes in, she's like, "What the hell is this?"
Okay, good. I was
And
gonna
I'm like,
say, man.
yeah, it's
You don't need that kind of shit in your life.
No, but there's a learning process to bad television. Like you see the mistakes they made, and you can understand why they made them, and be like, oh, I now know how to spot that in my own work, and now I can get rid of it and look better. But
Yeah.
those types of things should be few and far between. That shouldn't be in such an abundance that we're getting right now. Like that's the tragedy of it.
Well, we'll see if we get Robert back here, at least a response from him, just to make sure he's okay and all that business. But yeah, we'll give it a few minutes to.
Yeah, and Joey, I'm not blaming the girlfriend. She had no idea. I had no idea that Picard had dropped yet. So she just presented it. It's like, oh, I see Star Trek is on, because she was just looking at it casually on Crave, and and yeah, it ended up being Picard, and it was like, I don't know what this is in any way, and I don't know why the Deltans have to be renegotiating with the Federation. Like, it just doesn't make sense. They're part of them. It is, so.
Well, he's trying to hop back in, but it says device is not connected. So we'll give him a minute here. Hopefully he can reconnect. So looks like he's in a bad patch. So give him a minute. I don't know if he can hear us or not, but I don't know. I wouldn't watch this Picard shit. Now, like Andre's been talking about it, and I'm just like, well, even the reviews and all that stuff aren't getting views. So I don't know. Is it worth it?
You know what we could do?
Go to Vegas.
No, we could make Culture and Polly watch 3 for us.
That's something, yeah.
Oh my God, Polly and Culture Casino would kill me. I can't even. You know what? I better not.
See,
even
Culture's willing to do that, though. See, that's the thing is he'll take one for the team. Unlike
I just don't want Polly to suffer in such a way.
Now we can hear you. Welcome back, Robert. At least you're still alive.
Fuck,
We're
man,
worried.
I'm telling you, it's the LA freeways, dude. If you ever saw look, the fact that we have technology where I can talk to you around the world as I'm on. By the way, Mike.
Yeah.
I'm going from the 71 to the 57 right now, jumping on to the 210 shortly. That's where I'm at.
Sweet. I know exactly where you're at.
I know, right? I'm going by Wet and Wild or whatever that. Dude, you know where I'm about to drive through? For those of you who are listening right now, I am about to drive through San Dimas, bro. Where Bill and Ted
Nice.
are from.
Even though they
Nice.
shot it in New
Totally
Mexico or
driving through
Arizona,
San
but yeah.
Dimas. Oh. Dude, how about that? Come on, man.
That's what I love about all of us.
San
We're always
Dimas.
we're all hardcore fans, and like we always get excited about things that we love, whatever those things have been.
I'm passing by Raging Waters Drive, you guys. San Dimas, next 4 exits, bruh. There you go. That's where I'm at right now.
That's awesome. Except for, like I said, they didn't really film it in San Dimas, but yeah.
Yeah, but do they film anything real? They didn't really film Star Wars on Tatooine either. So, come on.
Well, someone argued they still haven't filmed any Star Wars. Ah,
Yeah, I know.
No,
This is
that's-
true.
Get it? Boom, boom, bam.
But
Look,
now
Tom, I made it funny again.
I think I've got a good connection now.
Yeah, you sound pretty good.
Yeah, better than it was, but we won't keep you too much longer anyway. But
It
we're
doesn't
glad
matter.
we
You know, I got time. I still got time. I got another 20 minutes before I get to Poseidon. Oh, dude.
Oh, it's so awesome to not have you on your channel. You're like, this is like Rob Unplugged.
Rob, take a look at the hood of your car. Is John Belushi surfing on you?
He is not. Yeah,
Or
there. By the way, I
Belushi,
just got
sorry.
my car washed, so I wish. But yeah. So I now have to bring it down and be. It's very interesting though. This is actually the very first time I've ever streamed on YouTube live while I'm driving. Now, for those of you who are listening, in this car, my phone is actually sitting on. I have a wireless charger in the dashboard, and so I'm not touching my phone. I'm not doing anything. I'm completely hands-free. I'm looking at I'm just talking randomly into the ether. Which is crazy if you think about it.
Well, no, what
So
it
I'm
is
not like
it's,
holding my.
it's the science fiction dream we had as fans of Star Trek as youth. Is it not?
Oh no, it absolutely is. What's really interesting is so I drive a Prius Prime, and there is a pretty big. It's not as big as a Tesla, and it's not as nearly as effectual as a Tesla. But if I were to plug the phone in using a USB cord, I could actually watch this show live, streaming live. I'm on Bluetooth right now, and I didn't know that I was going to do this. If I knew I was going to do this, not that I would think that I would get better reception, but it's pretty crazy that I'm sitting here driving, talking to you, streaming live on YouTube as I'm traversing freeways in Los Angeles. It's pretty incredible, all things being equal. And I think Priuses are kind of like soccer mom cars. It's fine, but with gas prices the way they are, I'm certainly glad I'm rolling a hybrid. Just saying.
Yep.
Which is great, because to be honest, according to my Prius right now, I get 101 miles to the gallon, as I can see on my heads-up display.
Damn, are
right?
you serious?
That's really good.
Are you serious?
Yeah, but the thing is, it's a hybrid car, so yeah, and it's all very interesting. So right now, Mike, I just got on the 210. Now, because I have an electric vehicle, I can jump onto the carpool lane with just having a singular person, because I have stickers on my car that allow me to do that. So it's treacherous and crazy and weird. But the thing about a hybrid car is if I go over 75 miles an hour, and right now I'm going above that, let's say, because I'm going with the traffic, then it kicks in and uses gas. So I hate that. With gas at, $7 a gallon in LA. It's not good.
It's something like that. Yeah, I've seen some people. It's like $6.50 a gallon, and then $7, and I think the lowest is like $5.97.
I was gonna say, I thought I heard some places hit $8.
What?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's places, and I love the fact that Europeans are like, well, it's $12 in Scandinavia. Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, money. It's crippled our economy. But anyway, Let me ask you guys something. I have a question, a genre question. Are there anything you guys are excited about? What's coming up that you're excited about?
Oh, that's a good question. Cobra Kai. Eventually.
That's good. What about Doctor Strange?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pessimistically optimistic on that one.
Well,
Wow.
I'm kind of
I
looking
gotta say,
forward
I'm
to
really
She-Hulk.
excited about Moon Knight. I'm really excited about Moon
Yeah,
Knight.
it looks
Oh yeah,
alright.
you're definitely excited on Moon Knight. I've seen the Twitter stuff. I'm like, yeah, you're getting some good stuff there.
I'm
I'm
a 40-year fan of Moon Knight.
yeah. I was actually just talking to Chris Gore about like Doug Mensch's run on some titles of Batman, the Legend of the Dark Knight, and he knew of that from you. But as for like what I'm kind of excited for, like cautiously excited for, is the She-Hulk series on Disney Plus, because I like the She-Hulk
Yep.
character, and I also like the lead actress they got, and I really hope that it leans into some of the funny, interesting takes of the character, as opposed to the unfortunately like dropping the ball that some of the other Disney Plus shows have.
I think it's going to be phenomenal. I can't wait for that. I'm very much looking forward to that. I was looking forward to Obi on Disney Plus until I thought about the trailer and realized I'm probably going to get screwed again.
Well, what about the Adam Project that drops tonight? The new Sean Levy, Mr. Free Guy directed.
When does that drop?
Enthusiasm. It drops at midnight tonight.
Oh wow, already? I remember seeing a trailer for
Oh
it.
yeah,
but
Ryan Reynolds' Adam Project. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if there's any enthusiasm for that, but it looks pretty good.
there's been a little buzz for it, I know, but not like a ton. But well, maybe it'll be a surprise.
At least it's something original.
Yeah, I mean it reminded me a little bit of Flight of the Navigator, but it's a different angle towards it, sort of.
Could be.
I think we lost him, but no, there he is.
You know, I love you. Really different, but it felt like. God damn it.
Yeah, but I'm curious into it. I mean, it's gonna be funny. It's like, what will there be scenes where the young version of the kid does something, and all of a sudden Ryan Reynolds' character blips out of existence for a moment, and then he changes his direction, and Ryan Reynolds appears again? Like, are they gonna have fun with it, or is it gonna be more of a drama?
I would love. That would be awesome. Yeah, I don't know. It looks good.
I don't know, but that's something I'm gonna look out
By the way,
for.
I'm driving right next to a CA Corvette. It looks amazing. What a great
Nice.
car that is.
Some people are saying Orville in the chat. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Orville. Mecha J sends in a $5 super chat and
Now,
says,
does
"With
that
all
come
this,
back in May?
I think so, or did they move it to July? I thought I remember they pushed it off a little bit more because they had a delay, but I can't remember now. It's either May or July. I can't remember which." But Mecha J says, with all this Star Trek talk, I have to ask, had there been any updates on the new season of the Orville? Speaking of, just that I knew they were working on it. Comes out June 2nd. That's right. June 2nd. I did get delayed till June. But yep, it's supposed to be out in June. So looking forward to that.
At least then I'll get some Star Trek.
Yeah.
I love
How does that make you feel? What you love it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a next generation homage and all that, but there's been some really interesting stories. One of the things that the Orville takes into consideration is that when Michael Piller took over executive producer duties on Star Trek: The Next Generation in the third season, he had a mandate that said all of our stories need to, instead of coming out from outside, all of our stories need to come from our characters. And all of the Orville stories, even when they do their epic stories or whatever, all of their stories come from their characters. They all stem from that. They can get huge in science fiction and deal with heady concepts, but they're always about their characters first and foremost. They illuminate, and great science fiction, and Star Trek. What Star Trek has forgotten is that it's an allegorical show. It uses science fiction and fantasy as an allegory.
Oh, I think we lost Robert again.
And with that,
yeah, well, there was a story I had before, but I don't know if we want to jump into it or not. Because it wasn't Star Trek related.
it was Star Trek related?
It wasn't.
Oh.
Well, there was well, hopefully we get Robert back, but real quick, I was going to say there was an announcement about a new biopic for Billy Joel. But now there's a new wrinkle in that biopic. Evidently, Billy Joel didn't have anything to do with this, and he's not allowing them to use his music.
Shouldn't we be grateful for that?
No,
I mean, I'm not a
because I
huge
like
Billy
Billy
Joel fan.
Joel.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I'm not a big fan of his.
Well, instead, the film will now follow his early career. Who cares?
I mean, all of his failures?
Yeah, well, there's one small bit you can tell, but you can't use the song, then what the fuck?
No, it's basically, it has to be everything that leads up to him having written the song, and he's like, I'm going to sing the song at the end, and you get the first note, and then you cut to black, and that's how it's going to work, right?
Well, there is a story behind Piano Man. Because what happened is early in his career, he signed on to some really shitty deal.
Mm-hmm.
And so while he was fighting with the guy to get out of the deal, he was performing under a completely different name and in these dive bars. And that's what gave him the inspiration for the song, was all the people that he met in these dive bars. So like there is a story behind it, but that's pretty much it. It's like a short story at best. I wouldn't say it's enough for a film unless you get into his success, right? Like, well, that's one other one we can just toss to the who gives a shit pile. It sounds like it's going to be like that David Bowie one that came and went from like last year.
Yeah, I didn't even bother checking it out.
No, I
like
so
Bowie
bad.
way more than I like Billy Joel.
I can't remember the name of it, but I heard it was really bad. It was the same thing, though. They weren't allowed to use his music because Bowie never wanted any movies about him. So his family and the estate
respected that. Yeah.
Yeah. So even though, so they couldn't use any of his music. So I heard the movie was stupid bad. So there was that a couple John, like most of the Beatles movies are like, there's those John Lennon ones and stuff too that never have any of the music that, like, yeah, it's just like, what's the point? But that was about it. Hopefully Robert's okay. I think he's just in a bad spot. We're probably going to wrap things up here though, because we've gone a little bit longer than I had anticipated, but hey, it's not every day you get Robert Meyer Burnett to hop in, right?
That's right.
And it's not every day that me and Script Doctor are me and Script Doctor.
That is true. Hopefully we'll be able to get that rectified in the near future.
You know what, Paulie? I would almost believe this. He goes,
what?
John Leguizamo biopic announced starring Javier Bardem.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
He would
Paulie, that's not
himself.
funny, Paulie. Oh, that's actually hilarious.
He would fancy himself like Javier Bardem, wouldn't he?
Yeah. God, that's so good. Freaking Paulie's hilarious sometimes.
What do you mean I'm not that sexy?
Oh God. Who cares about Johnny Leguizamo? Freaking
I used to love him until he turned stupid.
Dude, to talk about ungrateful POS crap moron. Dude.
Which is unfortunate because I've seen him perform like stories and stand up and stuff, and that was years ago. Like you'd never think that he would ever have turned into a different person.
I've never liked that dipshit. I've never liked that dipshit. His one man play sucked. I've never liked his acting. Sucked. I just
I
never
like his acting in certain things, but I hated like The Pest, and no, I've never been a fan of his stand-up.
Okay, his stand-up sucked, and his one-man play sucked. Okay, what is his top role that you loved him in movies?
I liked him in let's see here. I liked him in Mario Brothers. I know that's a bad choice.
He was really good as Clown in Spawn, but the movie.
I was just gonna say he was all right. This is the Clown in Spawn. He was all right in Land of the Dead. John Wick, he was all right in. Those kind of roles he's good in.
He had no role. He played like a tow truck guy.
No, actually, yes and no. Like the thing is John Wick is sold through all the other characters, right? Like in that first movie, like we don't really get to see John Wick do jack squat until like what, half hour into the movie almost.
Yeah, it's all built up, and
yeah.
I think John Leguizamo he's a character actor. Like he works as a character. You shouldn't be dominant in a film, or at least if he is, it has to be something that plays to his strengths, which he doesn't really get that often.
He's good in Carlito's Way, but if I had to pick one, I'd say his best role ever was Tu Wong Fu. He was the most convincing of the three. And he actually had the most to do, right? Like he actually had that romantic storyline with that guy, and it was believable. Like you feel sorry for the guy by the end because like all the shit that's happened. Like,
yeah,
I'll give him that one. I mean, he can act, but I don't like his personal opinions, and then that too, like Paulie just said, his latest rant. Yeah, he has gone completely off the fucking deep end when it comes to politics and that kind of shit. But with that, I think Robert probably is checked out on us. I'm sure he's okay. Hopefully we'll hear from him again here soon. If not, check out the Burr Network. That's the best place to find him at. Mike's got a channel where he recently opened Castle Grayskull. You can check that video out on his channel. Script Doctor has a channel as well, even though he hasn't really done much lately, have you? But you've been busy, so you got a good reason not to.
Yeah, I mean, I would like it to be a regular thing. I knew getting into it that it wasn't going to be, but I'm so grateful for everyone that has subscribed and watching my videos. And yeah, if you ever want to figure out certain things, is like why is this thing not function as well as I want it to, or why do I watch this show and I hate it, and you want to know why better, then I got a number of videos that help you understand your feelings better.
All right, we're just messaging Robert to let him know that we're going to wrap the show up. So anyway, with that, Mike, your script, was there anything else you guys wanted to add before we get out of here?
I hope everyone has a wonderful night, and if I don't see you before the weekend, a great weekend.
Yeah, I know Comics Division is going to be starting here soon. I don't know if I'm going to have the energy to head over there, but if not, head on over there. Tell those boys we said hello. Hopefully I didn't miss any member chats or super chats. I don't think so. I think 6 in the gang have kept me pretty much up to date on everything. I know Jordy and who else was here? Goddess a Whim. Thank you for being wrenches tonight. We appreciate your help. Paulie coming in there at the last minute here. I don't want to forget anybody. So thank you all for your help again. And hit that like button. Show us you care. It always lets the algorithm know you're watching us, even though they don't let you know that we're on usually. But we appreciate it. We appreciate all the super chats and support, guys. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. And
I just see people, and I just play people.